keep on. They called me Mandingo, so they can work me hard. But yesterday, my people, they called me king. Master, our king. They say you don't need Enderman, so we gave you God. They gave me God. I laugh, so I don't cry. Ha 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 ha. Don't you know you're royalty? They don't know. I be Manta. I be Manta. I be Manta. Call me Mandingo. Call me Mandingo. Call me Mandingo. Call me Mandingo. And I'll be Manta. I'll be Manta. I'll be Manta. I'll be Manta. Manta the king. Manta your king.
Not your boy, not your gal, not your buck, not your wench, not your slave, not your coon, not your shine, not your spade, not your jigaboo, not your jungle bunny, not your mammy, not your pickaninny, not your tar baby, not your colored, not your citizen.
You can't have my soul. They can't have my soul. Can't have my soul. Can't have my soul. They will bleed just like we. Don't you know you're royalty? 'Cause they don't want you to see. Don't you know you're royalty? They don't live in harmony. Call me Mandingo. Call me Mandingo. Call me Mandingo. Hey, call me Mandingo. Call me Mandingo. Hey, hey, call me Mandingo. Call me Mandingo. Call me Mandingo. Call me Mandingo. I'll be Manta. I'll be Manta. Get free. 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 Call me Mandingo. You can call me Mandingo. You can call me Mandingo. Get free. But I'll be Manta. King, 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 king.
6'1", 260 pounds. Do you think I was built for anything other than revolution, evolution? I'm ready. Keep on.
Perhaps I could have got away on beat for you catching me. You remember that? You remember that all day? You killed me. You remember that? You killed me. Because like you just proved what the Pecker would say. We're just beasts. Willing to do anything. Kill each other. No mind. No feeling. Leastwise, I ain't gonna die like you gonna die. Like a slave. I ain't giving no lifetime of misery and sweat to this Peckerwood. I'd rather die than be a slave. You Peckerwood. That's right. You Peckerwood was oppressed in your own land. And you brought us here. But now we here. And you just better know. This is just as much our land as it is yours. And after you hang me, kiss my ass. I'd rather die than be a slave.
Peace.
Greetings. Welcome everyone to our study session. We do our study session every sixth day or Friday or Yom Shishi. And I am Chief Yuya. I am the Chief Jegna and head teacher of Anu Life Global Ministries, also known as Anu Nation. And I want to welcome all of you coming in. I'm just pull up the chat a little bit. Pull up a little chat to have a little chat. But yeah, man, I just want to thank all of you for coming through. Peace to everyone in the chat, everyone coming through, everyone getting ready to learn, to get on it, to get on top of what they need to get on top of. I'll keep the chat kind of in front of me so I can glance at it periodically. I trust that you all had a strong. And if you're new and you hear the word strong and you're like, what? That doesn't make any sense. We tend to use the word strong instead of weak. It's just the vibrations of the word. That's all. Sometimes there's certain implantations that you can have within your psyche based on certain words that you may use. And you may never necessarily ask, why do we do this? Why do we say it this way? Why do we say it that way? Why do we say bless you when someone sneezes or things like that? Or why do we tell young ladies that when they sit down, they should cross their legs? There's a million and one things that sometimes we get from alien culture that really has very little to do with our rise into immortality. In ancient Kemet, there was a saying that men are immortal and the Netir or the Netaru are immortal men. There's kind of like a nice little secret in that. If you listen to what was said there, that the Netir or the Netaru are immortal men. And, so there's certain behaviors and certain sort of codifications of our activities and our thoughts that we can follow that will lead us into a place of immortality or what we may say, invest in our soul, invest in our real self. And then there are things that will receive the justice of ending. Things ending and coming to a demise and dissolving is a part of a justice cycle. So when you hear us say certain things and you see it's kind of consistent, like they always say good dawning. And I know nowadays, like, especially in a lot of the culture circles, people say like grand rising and stuff like that, which I think is cool. People make fun of it. They make fun of it now, because a lot of things, unfortunately, some great words of power have now been, made into jokes because of joke people. Like they say, oh, Hotepers. Hotep is such a sacred term. It's such a sacred word. When you think about Imhotep, to come in peace or Hotepu, or like these are terms that are very valuable, in learning how not only we what we bring into a space as indigenous people, but what we look for in our interactions. But sometimes through the behaviors of very deceitful people, false apostles, false prophets, and go on. They cause people to blaspheme against that which is sacred, because nowadays too many people can jump into the mix without really being qualified. And we live in such a gynocentric culture right now that because there's a lot of toxic gynocentrism, so people are really functioning from the vagina. Even males, they're vagina centric, and they're functioning from that space. So their qualification towards, like, if they're a sage or not, it's not based on the work that they've put in, but rather how well they can emote over the next person. It's almost like church. Who's got the good holler? Who's got the good scream? Who falls out in the spirit? As opposed to understanding that if you value this great mind and all these great blessings that have been bestowed to you by a creator, the most noblest thing that you could ever possibly do in your lifetime is to study the creator who gave you those things. That's the most noblest thing you could do. If you give me something, and you continue to give me something, the most noblest thing I could do is to learn you. Learn why. Well, why did you give me these things? Why did you show me this grace? Why did you treat me this way? Do you expect that of me? What should I behave that way? How do I behave that way? How do I take on those behaviors and those attributes? So, one of the greatest and most noblest things, like I said, that you could do in terms of um, just sort of examining your life and living your life is paying close attention to sometimes very simple things, like what you call yourself or what you allow yourself to be called. Is it moving you to a space of immortal sort of presence, which is the presence of the soul, or is it making you more human or created man or created woman? Are you being shaped and formed and molded by the very habits that you do, like the words you use and things like that? So, I just want to give that little explanation because I know sometimes we do have an Anu glossary on our website, Anu Life Global Ministries, where you can read up on some of the terms we use and why we use them. But if you take an intense study of things like word and things like language, an intense study, you will find the creator you've been looking for. So many people, they just have this sort of sense of scholarship that is very lackadaisical, and they start to sort of experience communication by artificial spirits and disembodied spirits, and they're like, well, something talked to me, so it must be it. And they've never really taken the time to dig into anything objectively and impersonally, but that's really the hallmark of a sage. A sage is someone who teaches and loves impersonally. There's no respect of person in the sense that I'll love you if it's not so much proposition and so much condition. But a sage is someone who really realizes that there's no reality outside the creator. The creator is the only reality. And once you realize that the creator is the only reality, you start to re-examine the words you use. You start to re-examine the food that you eat. You start to re-examine the company you keep, as opposed to so much well, I'm like this. I'm this type of person. I always been like that. Where's the creator in that? See, a true sage, a true wise person knows that nothing exists outside of the supreme intelligence. Everything outside of that is illusion. So even when you're using certain terminology, you want to make sure that your terminology is constantly sort of targeting and hitting that bullseye of the creator, because that's the only words that will ever come out of your mouth that will be real words. So it's sort of a very I guess sometimes tricky thing to sort of imagine in terms of like, how do we start to gain this immortality of the Netir or the Netiru, or this immortality of the Eternal One or the Supreme Intelligence. And it requires really objectified and impersonal, intense study. And like I said, you could just study language. You don't have to I've seen certain teachers, we'll call them teachers, but I've seen certain people in the past who have sold certain books. And they said, this is the ancient book about A, B, C, and D. And if you learn this book, you'll be able to do that. You'll have this without a shadow of a doubt. And there's no book that exists like that. That, if you just have this particular set of information, then all of a sudden you're going to gain all the wisdom of the world. The reality is that wisdom and that salvation is accomplished through the efforts of the individual. There's no mediator between you and your connection with the Supreme. So, I know some religions teach it like that. Oh, you just connect with the mediator, or just get this book, or just wear this necklace, or just name yourself this, or just paint your house this color. And they're looking for mediators between themselves and the creator. And salvation comes to objectified, intense effort of the individual. Period. This, it's very deep, because pain and punishment can come the same way. Through one or two mistakes of your foremother or your forefather, it could throw your whole couple generations out of whack. And you might be like, man, this thing was messed up before I even showed up. Like, what would y'all think? What did y'all do? Like, what's up? And then when it comes time for you to get back in alignment with the Supreme, it's very individual. So you would think like, okay, well, why can't I just put the effort in, and then all the generations that are connected to me, they're good because of what I put in. See, that's the difference. The punishment and the reward don't come in the same sort of package. We are rewarded when we reward those who we love, and we punish when things that are hated are done. Now, you would think that when you look at the science of reward and punishment, it would be like we reward those we love and we punish those we hate. But in a sick mind, it is that, oh, you just saying this to me, or you just doing this to me because you don't like me. You don't love me. So that's why you treat me like this or like that. No, punishment comes when you do things that you hate. Now, what is it to hate something? To hate something means to disconnect from the Supreme Being. So the moment you hate, you disconnect from the Supreme. Now you get punished. Your life starts to do a tailspin out of control, right? But when you do the things for those who you love, those love means to connect. For those who you are connected to, you are rewarded. So you sort of have to almost really measure, engage your love in a very intelligent sort of way. By the way, there's a link in the chat. It's pinned to the chat. Well, I don't think it's pinned, but it might be. It's in the chat. And if you want to join the conversation, you can absolutely come in on that link. If you want to come in and share anything or have any questions, and as long as they, are forward and they're noble, and we're employing our highest mind towards what it is that we're seeking to do, you are more than welcome to come on in. I'm just glancing at the chat periodically too. Peace, Nikki Love. I didn't get to say that in a minute. I used to love saying Nikki Love. Yeah, but so if you want to come in and share anything, feel free. But yeah, man, awakening that supreme within you is key, or that supreme divinity. Once you start to realize that the soul is the property of Anu, or the property of heaven, and the body is the property of earth, you start to realize like the balancing that has to occur in your personal investment. In your personal investment, where am I investing at in order to balance where I want? When you begin to awaken the inner quality of the Supreme within you, you start to free yourself, and you save yourself from the path of the king. The path of the king, we know the king to be a Sora, or Oba, or Nkosi. There's so many different words for the king, or just the king. And sometimes people strive and they want to pursue the path of the king, but they don't really know what that means, other than, well, I'm over everything and I get to tell everybody what to do. And that's not the path of the king. That's not the path of the king at all. The path of the king, when you're talking about the original concept of a king, when you look at a Saw, or who some may call Osiris, which is not a bad term. I know sometimes when people look at the Greeks, when it came to a lot of transliterations of certain names, they were pretty earnest. I mean, they did a lot of other weird stuff. But when it came to the transliterations of certain terms, they didn't really do too many names dirty, like based on their conception of the idea of certain thing, like Osiris was Os-Iris, Os-Iris, opening of the eye, Os-Iris, it may transliterate a little bit different than like Osor, which later became Lazarus, the one who resurrects. But it's like, sometimes the Greek translations were different aspects of the story, but a lot of times they weren't too wicked. They weren't too bad. The transliterations, there's other stuff they did, but you know, when you look at the path of Osor, the king of Osiris or Lazarus, you're looking at the path of reincarnation, right? So to strive to want to be the king is actually a trap, because the king is the one who's trapped by passion, and the king is the one who's trapped by reincarnation. You know, so you're not really necessarily striving with the inner eye when you're caught in that sort of cycle, you know, of passion and reincarnation. You get sort of stuck. I see something Master Menelek wrote something. He says, would that be what is called a Messiah complex? If I get this, then everyone under me will be good. It could be, you know, that it can, a Messiah complex can come in that form. Sometimes though, a lot of times with the Messiah complex, it's a little bit more based on ego. You know, it's a little bit more based on it's really an egoic complex, you know, because it's, if I don't do this, it's not so much if I do this, everyone will be good. If I don't do this, no one will be good. You know, so it's the idea that sometimes people get trapped into of ego, where it's like they get to I'm sorry, I'm laughing. Minute, like, you know what, there's something going on behind the scenes, and I knew that's actually, it's so insane that it's like hilarious. So I just thought about, so, but it's just funny. It'll come out eventually, but as of right now, it's not even worth giving any. It's so insane and ridiculous and childish and insane. It's barely worth giving any effort to. But yeah, a lot of times with the Messiah complex, it's like I have to come in and save you from something, or again, I'm the one. I'm the one. And that's the opposite of what we have to conquer here on the planet. The biggest enemy is ego. So when you're able to shine the light of the Most High through the purified Ba, as we speak about in the Kabbalion, if you read it, it speaks about the purified Ba, or the splendor of Ba, Ba. Ba is the soul. So what happens is that when you allow purified light to shine through your soul, you end up conquering ego, which is your greatest enemy. You know, so the Messiah complex a lot of times is like, yo, it's not just I'm gonna do this so my people are good. It's if I don't do it because I'm the one, then no one's gonna be good. And typically, you find people who have a complex like that never actually do anything. They just talk a lot. They just run their mouths. They're like little chihuahuas. They don't actually ever do anything to really help anybody. You know, because they're stuck in that sort of that cycle of ego. So as a result, they never awaken the Godhead within them. They never ever wake it up. You know, and the more that they can feel that they're not waking up, the more they sort of spaz out. The more they sort of make up things, where now that Messiah complex turns into a God complex. You see, so it just it gets out of control. But it's based on, I think I'm the one. But once you lock into the idea, and I'm telling you this like as a father, I've always been locked into the idea like I can't provide infinite things for my youth. So I connect them with the universe, because the universe has far more resources than I have. I got nothing. You know, I'm walking around with a pocket full of lint in comparison to what the universe can provide. But if you have a Messiah complex, it's like you don't want anyone to come through any sort of pathway to shine forth, or to revive, or to understand, other than the path that you've laid in front of them. You won't say, well, look, I'm going to show you how to get it. You know, I'm going to show you how to put yourself in a position to win. You know, so you get yourself out the way, and you allow the splendor of their Ba to shine through, which will kill not only their ego, but it will kill your ego as well. You know, so I would say that. Peace, Aki Zach.
Peace to the chief. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm doing great. I got gold flecks all over my shirt. You know what I mean? So I can't lose. You know what
I was
I'm
gonna
saying?
say, man, look at what you got Versace on today. Huh?
Yeah, you know, I definitely got some Versace. You know what I'm saying? I'm killing it today. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, man. You know how I do. Mm-hmm.
Hey, you covered a lot, man. You just covered a lot. I'm a backtrack first, and then I'm gonna walk forward. I want to start with that word love, and just wondering why does that seem to trip so many people up when it almost seems like everybody has a universal definition until you ask them, and then it's like everybody goes in different directions. But when you use the word, there's an assumption that we're talking about the exact same thing.
Right.
And
Yeah.
but it's always then once the definition comes, then that's when we start to see the confusion. Why is that word seem like it's so heavily weighted and used with people, and why does it seem like it just doesn't allow people to move beyond or see what is actually going on in front of them?
Yeah, man. It's occultism. You know, certain words have a numerological vibration associated with them, so you can't get rid of them. You know, so you don't even need to know the meaning of it. You just know how it hits and affects you, and you run with that. And you don't realize that there's a formula that somebody's throwing down on you, and as a result, you're having a reaction to the formula and not to the concept because you don't even know what the heck the concept is. You see what I'm saying? So that's one of the reasons a lot of times, like when you start breaking down the word, it's like, you know, like I didn't want it like that. I wanted it like this. You know what I'm saying? Like I wanted it. You know what I'm saying? Like people had this thing concept in their mind. I wanted it in a way where I could feel it the way I wanted to feel it. But now when you're breaking it down, what happens is I have to face something. See, the thing about it is that truth and knowledge creates courage. That's really the formula for courage, truth and knowledge, right? So if you start breaking down what love is to me, you start giving me truth, you start giving me knowledge, I'm going to be encouraged or emboldened to now look at the formula of that word. What am I really saying when I say that word? Why is that word evil when I spell it backwards? Does that mean anything? You know what I'm saying? So, right, love one way, evil the other way. You see what I'm saying? So now you start asking questions like that. And did that truth and knowledge give you the courage to say, I'm cool with exploring this. It's okay. Or are you still wrapped up in the spell of the number? You know, certain words have certain numerological value associated with them. And we think that when we learn the numerology, of a particular word, that it doesn't activate until we learn the numbers associated. Like now I know what that means. Oh, okay, so I can use it like this. But you don't realize it's an effect already. You've been using it like this, and it's been used on you like this. We pick up baby, say, I love you, baby. What is that? What does that mean? You don't love that baby. There's a chemical that's released inside of your brain that happens in the first months of that child's life so that you will have an attachment to that child so that you'll protect that child. You don't have a natural intellectual attachment to a child that you have. It's your brain and nature putting a spell on you. So you don't look at the baby like, I don't care about that kid. You see? But we'll say, well, that's love. It's not love. It's a chemical. It's like when you get in a relationship with, I'm so in love. That's dopamine. And then when time goes on and you find like, I'm just having trouble finding someone, I can't fall in love because you done went through so many heartbreaks. Your dopamine stores are really low at this point. You've now become immune. You know what I mean? You need a stronger drug to get high. That dopamine drug that got you high when you were 18, 19, 20 years old. Oh, I'm so infatuated. you numb to it now because you've misused it. So it's the same thing with the word love. We become numb to the truth of it, and we want to apply the spell to it because the spell feels better than the truth.
And that would almost then, in a sense, create some people to now look at lust, or would that have any correlation to what some people say is post-nut clarity? So now I'm gonna use this lust to on a search for quote unquote love, but then when I come off of that high, I'm really looking at what is in front of me and saying, I just really wasted my time with this person, or I really can't find nobody to really love me, even though I just laid with this person, or I just gave myself to this person. This person is like, I don't even know how I got here. Is that's the one on the search for that high, almost in a sense for some occult type feeling, but skipping, was it the Archaean? I think that's what you said last, is the Archaean. Help. Hey, one of y'all help.
Arcadian.
Help me. Was it
Acadian.
wisdom? That's
No,
this was
you
what he
talking about
talked
the
about. It was 3 different wisdoms. It was occult was the last one. Arcadian.
Occult, arcane, divine, primal.
Golly. See, I was gonna get there. Okay. But it would be, so then in a sense, then when one is using the word love, it would be one skipping straight to the occult and not really going through the first steps.
No, they're not going to the occult because they're not using intuition. Your intuition can be tuned. So it's like, if I just use the word love and I don't know what it means, I'm just a robot. I'm an automaton. No different if I use the word God. Right. What does it mean? I don't know. Devil. What does it mean? I don't know. You know, but you spell the devil backward, you get lived. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, well, that's good, right? That's supposed to be good. You know what I'm saying? Hell, you can say something like this: dog. Spell dog backwards, you get God, right? Okay. Well, dog, D-O-G. So if I'm a gangbanger and somebody say D-O-G of the world, dog of the world, well, the OG of the world would be God. That makes a lot of sense. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, maybe those words would pick for a reason.
All right. Now, going to the this is my last thing, and then I'll pass it to the. Speaking of that Messiah, of what Master Melech spoke about, and it seems like any video that I've watched, from Aladdin to when people want 3 wishes, they always want some sort of power, money, some sort of notoriety. Going to the Lord of the Rings, when we see that you can get some sort of power if I get this. Is that correlated? Because I know you said sometimes when one doesn't, and I'm going from, I've seen a video where my dad was talking to my nephew, and there was a video where he was telling him, like, he shot a ball and he was like, man, that's in your face, right? And he was just saying, and he kind of looks over at him like, man, whatever. But this is somebody telling you, like, giving you some critique when you're younger, so when you get older, you can handle it. As opposed to if you don't have that, then all of a sudden you want some of this power. And when somebody offers you this critique or offers you something that's gonna challenge that, you look at that in the sense that somebody is attacking you, not as opposed to telling you to do better. So is that, does a lot of that go from, like you've been saying, just not having a father, with people having some Messiah complex of saying that I'm going to be the one?
People who say I'm going to be the one are in tune with a very staunch reality about themselves, and that's that they have no power. Because people who have power don't talk like that.
Right.
You see, people who have power don't correct you if you call them Mrs. or Mr. instead of doctor. You see, they don't care.
Right.
You see, like what I said before, where alpha men are always late bloomers. Every time they're always late bloomers because they don't need to do a whole bunch of things to be the leader of the pack. So they'll be working down at the gas station, chilling, riding a scooter around town. Like, I don't need no car. I get to it when I get to it. I don't need to go to school. I get to it when I get to it. Then they're 35, 40 years old and they're like, yeah, I think I'll go to school now.
Mm-hmm.
Because I really didn't need all that to be cool. You know, so a lot of times people who make those sort of declarations like that, they are very much in tune with with the fact that they have no power. To have power, you have to be in touch with the soul. To be in touch with the soul, you have to free the spirit. To free the spirit, you have to control the senses. And once you're able to control your senses, it then gives liberty to your insight. You only gain clear insight when you control the spirit. I mean, control your senses. And once you control your senses, you now free the spirit. So a lot of times, if you haven't grown up with that sort of understanding of a power dynamic, then you don't even know how to gain power over your own senses. So you just start making these wild declarations. See, a parent will teach you the power dynamic. And learning the power dynamic is the power. You see, like, so I never had to tell my little brother I would beat him up. He knows I can beat you up. So I didn't have to say it like, you know, I'm gonna beat you up. So, and my older brother, he never told me. He told me once, and I remember it was like 30 years ago. I said something. I was kind of feeling myself, and he looked at me up and down. He said, "Don't test me." It's the only thing he's ever said, and I felt it like, yeah, all this mixed martial arts and all that, all this working out and big muscle. I was like, yeah, I don't think it'll work. I don't think it's gonna work out. You know, so because but that's power. Because I know the dynamic. Power is knowing the dynamic. See, in the West, a lot of people are obsessed with getting power because they don't respect the dynamic that's already present. You see, and that's one of the things that a father will show you, or a sane parent, a sane mother will show you. They'll show you power dynamic, and once you get a sense, it's like looking at an engine. And you get a sense of how an engine works, you gain power over the vehicle. You could upgrade it if you want. You could repair it if you want. You could do different things because now I know how you work. Mm-hmm. But some people never take the time to sort of study objectively how the world works, how systems work. That's why I always say the highest science that you'll ever find is within the melanin-rich family. All your science of the universe is right there. And if you look at the power dynamic between each individual, then you won't grow up being obsessed with power. You see, like the feminist movement is a result of a lack of strong men. Because your search for power is insane. Like you talking about the story with your pops. Of course you're better at this than me. It's like sometimes when y'all say things to me like, man, Chief, how you know so much? I'm old. You know what I'm saying? Like, you mean I'm be this age and be dumb? That's crazy. What was you doing all this time? I don't drink. I don't smoke. I don't party. I don't chase women. So if you don't do all those things and you still dumb, what was you doing? You know what I'm saying? So there's a natural understanding. Oh, when I'm a certain age, I have certain talents, gifts, abilities that I'm just gonna have. If I put a certain intensity within something. But see, the wickedness of the soul is ignorance. So if I strive to be a righteous person, then I'll understand that the true virtue of the soul is knowledge. That's all I need. And then that will reveal the power dynamics to me. But yeah, when you don't grow up with someone who teaches you process, you know, I grew up with my parents, grew up with my father, and there was things that I didn't want to happen at times, but I had no control over it because I wasn't in position to have control over it. And I got to see my father have control over his kingdom, which I was a member of. And I would be like, man, I can't wait to get up out of here and get my own thing. Because when I get my own, I'm going to do it like this. See, that's natural.
Mm-hmm.
But see, I'm working towards superseding what came before me and defining myself against that backdrop. Now, if you never had that backdrop, then like you said, when someone presents a healthy backdrop to you, it sounds so foreign and so offensive to your ears because you were never formulated in that direction. See, like, even at the age that I am now, I can be hollered at by another man and have a calm, rational reaction. Because I've been hollered at by men in my life.
Mm-hmm.
I can have an older man, and when I say older, 5 years older than me, my brother. I got older brothers who, at times when they feel like it, they boss me around. And I okay, you want me to drive you over? Okay, I'll drive you over there. You see, because I understand the power dynamic. You see, so the thing is, it's like that keeps me in a place where I'm always in tune with nature. I'm always in tune with the universe because I'm always sensitive to a power dynamic. I know the sound of an older woman giving me instruction and me knowing when to take that instruction. When she's standing solid, I know when I'm speaking to a woman who's standing solid on the virtue of knowledge, and when I'm listening to a fool. And my spirit reacts differently to each one. You see, my spirit will react differently to each one, regardless of her religion, whatever. That ain't got nothing to do with it. When you speaking to a woman who's standing on virtue, and virtue again is knowledge that's invested into the soul, you act different. You hold doors and carry groceries, and you do a lot more. But the old fool doesn't even affect you. You don't even hear them. So what happens is sometimes you got young fools, and the young fool will start to rant and rave and berserk because they don't have that vibration, that matrix within them where they did that sincere investment on knowledge and truth that emboldened them towards a virtuous soul. So what they do now to get your attention, they whine. You think about the feminist movement. Like, did you teach and empower your way into positions? Or did you demand and demand and demand? What you demand means nothing because who you demanding something of? Like, you can't demand nothing to me. But did you demand and demand and demand till you got to the point where someone said, okay, here's some crumbs. Leave me alone.
Peace, Chief.
Peace.
Is that like? Because I was talking to someone yesterday, and it kind of just think of like the whole Captain Save a HOE mindset, where like if I don't do this right now for this person, they're gonna get themselves in trouble. And it made me think of like my brother, and we're talking about your brother, and I was like, okay, sometimes like my brother has that mindset, right? And I was wondering, like, do you even speak to someone? Like, do you even try to speak to someone about that mindset and how they could fix it? Because from just seeing it and being around it, it's like there's not much you could say to really help the person, right? And can someone actually be brought out of that space, or are they just stuck there until however long they choose to be there?
Well, you're talking about helping someone to change their life, right?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Until a person masters the fire within them, nothing changes. In some systems, we call that chi. In some, we call it kundalini. Some we just call it life force. But until they're ready to do the work, which requires a mastery of self, you don't change anything. Because what happens when the next situation comes up? You right back where you started. And now what happens is you end up being that person's tether. Yo, man, I need to talk to you, man, because every time I talk to you, it clears my head and I feel better. So why would I care about you feeling better? Like, see, you got to remember what I said earlier. Like, a true sage knows that nothing exists outside of the supreme intelligence. So if I'm giving you anything other than resurrection inside of the supreme intelligence and taking on that mind, anything I'm giving you is a waste of time. Sometimes we do those things because it makes us feel better. But the truth of it is that it's actually a waste of time. So I don't go around trying to make people's lives better. Like, I'm not going to waste my time trying to make anybody's life better. You know, but what I seek to do is to show people how to master the fire, how to master the senses. Once they get to a place where they start mastering their senses, or they start mastering in their chi and mastering their life force, then they can understand the greater lessons. If not, you're going to be running behind somebody from crisis to crisis. And now you become something that you're not supposed to be.
Okay. So in those kind of positions, it will be better to take the like to pull back and leave them, even like you said this last call, like F them, let them do what they want to do until they come to their senses, and then if they come back, like that story you said when the son had left the father and basically did whatever and lost all the riches and came back to the father, and the father said, I'll bring you back in, but the other brother was like, why are you bringing him back in if he just wasted all the riches and I've been here this whole time? And he said, because he's home. So is it like that kind of concept where you're saying, like, you know, let this person go and let them figure out the thing, and if they are able to kind of come back to the castle, come back to the Most High, then you were able to kind of console them. But until then, you gotta kind of let them go by the wayside while you do your thing.
I'm not even trying to console anybody. The thing about it is this. Like I said, the Netir or the Netaru are immortal. Men and women. Men and women are humans, right? So the path of immortality is a very narrow and difficult one. And some people take the work in, they put the work in to become immortal, and others wait. Now, what they're waiting for is they're waiting for the world to stop. You know, the world is like a wheel. And there's a time that it stops and all of the sparks of substance fly out of it. And when that occurs, people then reincarnate again unconsciously. So you're almost putting those two options in front of people. It's like, you know, it's like the Matrix. You know, do you want to be put back in, right? But it's like, you could be put back in, but think about what Cypher said. Put me back in. I don't want to remember any of this shit.
Mm-hmm.
See, stop the wheel of the world. Let the sparks fly out. I'll return again, and I'll be unknowing and unconscious. Or you put the work in now and you become immortal now before the world stops. So that's really the only two choices you're offering. That's really it. You know, so it's kind of like you say, well, I could do this for now, I do that. Just do one thing. You look at it like this, man. How many times did the Most High come to you and try to help you out with your situations?
None. Probably told me I only got none. I don't remember him coming to me once telling me I'm
exactly, because the Most High said, I already gave you the formula to not have the situation. So either follow the formula or don't. But because we have feelings and we have this softness about us, we're like, yeah, but that's cold. I can't just say that. So then you ain't thinking like the Creator.
So play
I ain't out here
Morpheus.
trying to save nobody, man. I don't care about saving nobody.
So that's like playing Morpheus, just giving him the option and then going about your day. Because if Neo was to say no, then Morpheus would have just went about his day and said, all right.
He got work to do. He got Morpheus work to do. So Neo was looking for Morpheus, if you remember.
Yeah.
That was the whole thing. He was looking for Morpheus. So why was he looking for Morpheus? Because Morpheus was doing his thing. If you're doing your thing like the creator does its thing, when you look at nature, nature is very healing. Nature does its thing and it doesn't call to you. People say that, oh, the mountains were calling to you. No, they weren't. The mountains ain't thinking about the supervisor. You know, mountains ain't calling for you. You know what I mean? Who are you? You ain't nothing. Take your little piss ball self back to the city. You know what I mean? So the thing about it though, but when you get into nature, it refines you. It refines your spirit because it's just doing what it does. But sometimes we'll take 30 to 40 or 50% of our effort to say like, well, I need to go help this one. I need to go help that one. And you ain't even helped. So what are you really doing for them? What are you really saying when the greatest example and the greatest power you can give them is showing them, is showing improving. This is what it looks like. You see, and this is the way I did it. That's it. Now, if you want to be immortal, it's like in the Terminator. Follow me. Come with me if you want to live. If not, then this is where you're at. Either you want the path of immortality or you want to be unconscious and unknowing. You want it.
So that's like that saying like people fight hard for their predicaments or the situations that they're in. So why try to fight harder? Why are you gonna fight harder to get someone out of something that they fought hard for in the first place?
Yeah. You know, that's a thing, and that's the sobriety of men. And I'd say women too. But that's the sobriety. That's what, all right, I'll go to the Nation of Islam. When's the last time you had an FOI or a MGT or GCC come knocking on your door asking you to come to their Sunday masjid or Friday Juma?
Never in my life.
Never. But you see them and you want to be like them. You know, you like, man, they look beautiful. They look strong and and they barely got any words for you. You know, like they're not even friendly like that. You don't remember what the brother looked like when he was smiling because they don't smile? The sisters are quiet, got their head down. All right, brother. All right. You ain't even getting much action. But you're pulled in. It's magnetism because they're functioning on the vibration. You ever give somebody like I don't know what y'all call it this generally, like we call it giving somebody a pound or giving them dap, right? Like maybe you say a handshake because y'all are so stiff. Your generation stuff. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? But you know, you give them a dap or you give them a pound. You ever give somebody a dap or a pound and you could feel the activation, or you give somebody a dap or a pound and it's like, like, yeah, right. It's like, what are we doing here? You know, or like you go to give them a fist bump and they grab, oh, I'm sorry. What are we doing? Paper, rock, scissors? Okay, no, okay, wait, hold on. I'll open you. All right, let's just do it. You know, like, what are we doing here? You know, because it's like, it's the vibration and the rhythm that attracts you. Sometimes you'll give somebody a pound and you'll, you don't let go of their hand. Because it's just something about the vibe. You know what I'm saying? Or you just hold like, yo, what's good? Or you hug. You see somebody, you hug. And you be talking, you looking at me like, give them another hug again. You know, because it's like magnets. You come together like magnets. You see, that's the thing. True love is the harmonization of opposites. You know, so if you and I are alike and we're both positive forces, then we're going to repel each other when we come near each other. But if we truly have love for each other, we're gonna figure out how to harmonize those two positives. You see, it's like, you know, you might have a certain sports experience and you have two positions on a team and those two positions do the same thing, but they do them on either side of the field. You see? So we're both pushing in the same direction, but we figure out a way to harmonize exactly what we're doing. That's love. It's harmonization. You see? So you might have a person you're talking to, whatever, and it's like, I'm gonna give you this little bit. I'm gonna give you this little bit. You got to make them your A-alike to really build on something together. And if they don't want to be your A-alike, maybe because you're whack, or they just waiting to go back to sleep again. It's just going to be one of the two, to be honest with you.
I'm gonna jump in if y'all going.
I'm gonna let you go and get back in after.
Nah, I'm looking at Aki El Quran and my main man Aki now. What y'all?
Peace.
Shalom. What's going on? What's going on now?
I'm cool, man. I've been moving, grooving, doing good. So one of the things that I've been kind of moving on lately is this idea of will and pushing will forward without there being anything to stop it. And I was thinking about how, like, in the beginning, it says the Elohim, created light. And they said, let there be light. But there was nothing that said, like, nah, ain't gonna be no light. Like, the light just, it went forth. So if we're supposed to be like our creator, then I would think that our will should be the same way, where we have a will, we have something that we're willing ourselves to do, but there's nothing that is necessarily going to stop us from completing that which we're setting out to do.
It's something that's going to stop you. It's something going to stop you. You already stopped yourself. It ain't going to work. My will. That's the stop right there. It's not my will, it's let thy will be done, as it is on earth, as it is on heaven and earth, right? So once I come to an understanding that when I'm dope, like when I'm an amazing person, it's because I'm flowing like the creator. It's not because I'm an amazing person. You think about any creative experience, you look at the creativity of a person. Like, I know, like for my generation, it was Michael Jordan, right? I know it's LeBron, whatever, but for me, it was Michael Jordan. And as someone like myself who cannot play basketball, it just didn't work out ever. And I tried a lot of times, and I would always be fighting. I didn't know what a foul was. I just thought, you can do whatever you want. We out here, So I never got that concept. So, but I used to look at Michael Jordan like, what made him think to do that? Or sometimes Allen Iverson was another one. I look at Allen Iverson and be like, why did he think to do that and then do that next in that combination? And how did he know he was going to end up over here where nobody was? Like, that's amazing. And then you listen to these guys in interviews, like, no shade against them, but it's like, you ain't that smart. Like, you're not as smart as you move. Your kinesthetic intelligence is off the meter, but I think it's more so your openness and willingness to channel in what is valuable. That's what's off the meter. So it's getting myself out the way. Like, people say, I was in the flow. Well, what flow? Whose flow? Right? So if I'm in the flow allowing the creator to just work through me. And that's when I'm my dopest. But if I am relying on my own will, which is finite, you know that as a music producer, right? It's sometimes you wake up middle of the night, you flowing, like you creating. And you like, I'm loving this. I'm doing it. And then let that call come. Cause this has happened so many times. We working on this project. We need this. And all of a sudden it's like your creativity just tanks. You like, and then everything you putting together, it sucks. He's like, it's just not working. What the heck? But I know I want that check. But it ain't working because it's my will now. But in the middle of the night when I was asleep, what happened? My conscious mind moved out the way. My subconscious came forward. And the Most High was working through that. because my conscious mind is the hater that comes in and be like, yo, you did a beat like that last week. Ain't nobody, you know what I'm saying? You always using that same pattern. Somebody gonna catch on after a while. They'd be like, oh, your beats sound the same. Can't you play in any other keys? You know what I'm saying? Like, you know all the stuff. I know you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? All the stuff that ain't nobody gonna dance to this. Nobody gonna like this. You know what I'm saying? But when that gets out the way, the creator, see, that's the clouds. Remember the clouds that block the light from coming through with thought. Your left and right brain hemisphere look like clouds. So what would be the light that will be coming forth? The divine light of the pineal. That's what needs to shine through. That's the single lamp. But the thought clouds it and blocks it. The thought gives you a delusion that you have a will, because remember, satanic energy is mind energy, not mind, it's brain energy. Telling you, this is my idea, this is my will. You ain't got no mind, you ain't got nothing. You a vessel, and the better you are, the more flexible you are. Now, I know that as an ex-athlete, the more flexible you are, the more fights you win. Period. You know, it gets to a point where it's beyond muscles and flexibility. The more flexible you can be in a volatile environment, the more you're going to achieve. And I could say as far as fighting, right? But what is flexibility? My willingness to go any direction that the Most High is putting me, right? Sometimes you might be grappling and somebody puts your ankle in your leg, like, oh, damn, my leg never went there. But if you're flexible, you can, all right, I can stay like this until I figure out, I can stay like this for 20 seconds till I figure something out. I don't need to tap yet. I'm flexible. My hamstring's not, my quad muscle's not gonna pull and snap in half. But flexibility was the key. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes I feel like that, man. Flexibility. Hey, I'm gonna tell you, I got an instructor who was an amazing Brazilian jiu-jitsu artist, man. And I could never beat him. And one day I was like, man, screw this, man. I'm tired of you using me for like demonstration. Like we gonna turn the tides tonight. And we were on the ring grappling with a bunch of people, and he was beating the whole class. Like that's what he used to do. Like, all right, you next. Calls me up, we grappling, we going at it. I go behind him, right? It's called swimming. I swim behind him, and now his head is facing this way, and mine is facing away from him that way. And I grabbed his foot, and I grabbed his big toe and the toe next to it, and I started pulling them apart. And he tapped. And everybody was like, yo, he made Sensei tap. And he was like, oh, that was a BS tap. Yeah, you need to work out the toes. You didn't know it was you know what I'm saying? Flexibility. You see? So that's where the greatest, like my will says, look, I got more muscles than you. I'm bigger than you. I should just be able to throw you across the mat. But it's not working. I got to think like what would a little kid do? Something mean and mischievous. And that's what, I made you tap. You see? So it's when we allow that space and get out the way, that's when there's nothing left to get in the way. The only thing ever in the way is your thinking. That's the only thing that's ever in the way. It's not any external force, and ain't nobody doing work against you. It ain't another race of people, whatever. It's the way you think. That's Satan. Because nothing else is as old as the will that's inside. If the will that's inside of you is the creator, what's older than that? You know what I mean? Like when we say like, oh, this certain race of people is the devil, that certain race of people ain't that old. Why would you give them that much credit? You see what I'm saying?
So I have a question.
I'm jumping in, man. You are. No. Go ahead.
So you said like sometimes for men certain things are not working for them because it's not in their heart. Like they might be doing like a certain job store trying to pursue a certain thing and it's not in their heart. would that be the same thing? Because I was meditating on that last night, thinking like, what's in my heart? But would that the I? Is that still part of the I, or is that a different thing?
Why you think about your heart? Screw your heart.
Okay.
You think about that for? Look, you yeah. This happened to you. I know it did. It happened to all of us. All right. You ever seen a girl that you wanted to talk to, and let's say the day you felt like you had a shot, or maybe like which way she walks every. Well, I'm from the generation of stalking. Before it was called stalking. Now y'all got social media. Y'all stalk better now because y'all got like I see you on Facebook Live. I see where you are. It's different. My generation, we wrote songs about it every day. Like, all I do is think of you. Yeah, I can't wait to get the home each day to see you walking my way. Like, that was stalking. You know what I'm saying? We had no other way to do it but to stalk, right? That's how families was formed, right? But you might see this girl and you'd be like, yeah, I want to talk to her. But every time it's like you look at yourself like, man, I could taste my mouth. Not look at that. You looking around for something like, damn, nothing in my pocket. Damn, nothing. All right, damn, all right, screw it. Next day, it's like, I look like a jerk in this shirt. I can't go wear this shirt. The sleeves don't fit right. It's irregular. You can see the sewing thing where I got the regular thing. This is from Ross. I can't wear this. Like every day you got a different thing. And then one day you see her with a dude that you're flying in. And you're like, she was willing to drop her standards. She could have dropped her standards for me. That could have been mine. You see? Because in that moment, you thinking about yourself and not the flow. So anytime you put the focus on yourself, you're going to slow up. And what's supposed to happen is not going to happen. You see? So forget what's in your man. Screw your heart. Don't worry about your heart. Don't worry about none of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, get into the flow, and when you get into the flow, you'll start to discover talents that you never knew you had before. Because these things let there be. Like Niall said, let there be. That means there was something there that was not letting it be. Maybe purposely. Now, I'll follow that. Let's go a little somewhere with that now for a second. So my theory is that there was a catastrophe that happened on the planet, and there was no light because of the catastrophe. The sun was blocked out. So when the Elohim came, it was like, we're gonna help y'all rebuild. Saying let us make man in our image is like, yeah, y'all messed up last time. We're gonna do it over, and you're gonna do it better. Let there be light. Let's remove all of this fallout that's in the air, that's blocking the light of the sun, right? But I say it was a result of a catastrophe. Something happened here, right? Now, look at your life. And when you're saying let it be, and the thing that's stopping it from being, I promise you, it's going to be some trauma that has created this blockage in your thinking that always makes you slow up. Always makes you pause. You see? So if you're going to look at anything, man, look at the catastrophes in your life and look at how they may be playing themselves out, going forward. But if you're tapped into the power of the Most High is like, what catastrophe? I'll move those clouds out the way. I'll let light come forth. Oh, but we don't know how to cultivate the earth, and we forgot. I'm gonna teach you. Here, all these trees are books. I'm gonna leave the sciences with you. You see, don't eat of this tree because you dumb. And if you eat of this tree, your dumbness is gonna last forever. You can't eat of this tree till you eat all the other trees and get this wisdom first. Then you can live forever. And you'll realize you don't even need that tree. You see?
Speaking of stalking,
Who's it? That's Jaquez. Okay, peace, brother.
Peace.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you got something to add, Jaquez, or you want?
He at the cookout.
I'm following the conversation. To add, I really had another conversation that I wanted to, another question per se that I would like to ask. I don't know if it's question asking time. You let me know.
We just building, man. We throwing ideas around.
Okay, so something that I've been just kind of pondering on or trying to make sense of is the concept of many gods, or right, as far as Elohim, meaning many gods. But then when we speak of the Most High, or the God of the Hebrews, are we still referring to many gods, or I'm just having a challenge wrapping my mind around that?
You should. That's an excellent question, because you're having a challenge because the question is not properly qualified. Elohim does not mean many gods.
Okay.
It's great that you asked that question, because it wouldn't allow you to rewind to see that they don't mean the same thing. A good way to just look at the term Elohim is powerful ones. If you look at it from that perspective, it'll make other things make more sense. But a god, I definitely don't mean many gods. Definitely don't mean many gods. Yeah, it's a word that's older than like many gods, but powerful ones. Elohim don't necessarily have to be people who live in the sky. I would say Bill Gates is an Elohim.
Can we follow that real quick? I'm trying to
break it down to me so I can understand it.
I'm trying to understand. I'm trying to. Okay, so I'm kind of understanding where you're going with that. I think a little bit.
Is it because a God is something of power and influence?
That's part of it, yeah.
So I feel you. I'm gonna let you.
That's all you had? You didn't even say nothing.
No, so basically, basically it's the wrong word. Basically, it's the wrong word. But I'm saying though, Bill Gates is a powerful one to a certain like set of people. Like to us, he wouldn't be considered powerful because you got money and whatever doesn't mean.
And Bill Gates can make you disappear.
Man, stop. He could. Yeah.
You know how much bread he got? You think you safe up there in Canada? Man, drop the Addy in the chat. Drop the Addy. Bill Gates got the type of money to make you never be seen again. He could wipe out your entire family.
That is correct. But he wouldn't be our Elohim because he ain't got no spiritual.
Who says that Elohim is something spiritual? See,
I'm saying
that's the wrong thinking.
I said our Elohim.
Who said our Elohim is spiritual?
Okay, now I'm confused. Thank you, Jack, for asking that question. Because now I would assume that our because if we come from a certain space, whereas like wouldn't that mean our Elohim had the same source? Because we come from that Elohim.
Are you a spirit?
I mean, I have a spirit, but I'm not a spirit. No.
Okay. There we go. See, we got to stop thinking when we say Elohim, we got to get out of church. Remember, come up out of her, my people. We still, even though we don't say it because we want to be cool, we still think it's something invisible in the sky that loves everybody. And we don't want to not say that just in case Chief was wrong and he messes us up. He would be at the pearly gates shaking them joints like, yo, I live with Chief. You know,
It was him.
I believed in you the whole time. You pulling out cross. Look, I still got my Jesus piece. You know, from the 90s. So, but the thing about it is that the Elohim are the powerful ones. You have the Elohim in the sky. You have the Elohim on the earth. You have the Elohim in the earth. You have powerful ones all over. But what makes them powerful? If I said, yo, Bill, I don't think Bill Gates could beat me in a fight. You know what I mean? Like, but I would still consider him a powerful one. Am I saying he's the most high? Am I saying he's the powerful one? No, he's one of the powerful ones. You know, but it's all relative. We talk about the Elohim of this universe, right? What about the Elohim of other galaxies?
So that will go back to the Sumerian tale a little bit, because there was some who were not on the earth, like there was some that were up there, and then there was some down here that were looking over us, and then they had children with some of the ones down here, so they were like the Nephilim.
You had those that were later called watchers, but the thing about it is that once you understand that Elohim means powerful ones, that also could encompass warlords. You know, we're not just, I can't see, man. My screen is so small, I can't see everybody's face. But the person just came on, looked like me. What the heck? It is so blurry. I can't even see it. That looked like me. I don't know what's going on. But
That says free game.
Oh, that's Chris. Okay. Only reason I know it's not me because I ain't got no shirt that color. You know, I only wear black and red. Yeah, I got to get my eyes checked out. But but yeah, when you're dealing with Elohim, like you got to put the way you get this and the way you grow in this is you have to stop creating so much distance between you and what is eternal and what is powerful. When Yahweh Shai ben Pantera said, I and the Father are one, he was saying there ain't no distance. We're one. When he said these works you will do and greater. Okay. Like what else do you need? So now when we say like, oh, gods, we still have that's because mythology sometimes I love mythology, but it be messing us up too. Because sometimes you'll read mythology, people will make mythology around what they don't understand. Like for instance, when we talk about Nephilim, we have measurements for Nephilim. They're like 7 to 10 feet. But then when you hear people start talking about the mythology of Nephilim, they're like 30, 40, 50 feet tall. So now in your mind, you're like, oh, wow, that's some crazy mythology. But then if you go to East Africa, you look at the Watutsi, you look at the Maasai, you're like, man, some of them cats grow to like 8, 9 feet tall. Are they giants? According to scripture, they would be. You see? But once someone else is like, well, damn, we don't grow like that. Well, we got to make them, we got to do like we did with the pyramids. We got to talk about aliens and stuff like that. We can't say these are those people that we're talking about. So even when we say Elohim, we say many gods. It's like you thinking Thor coming with this mighty hammer and, you know what I'm saying, and all that stuff. You got that image in your head and not like, nah, that's just dudes who's out here really getting it. You know what I'm saying? Suge Knight, 50 Cent. You know what I'm saying? Like, because when you break down that word of what was said, when it said that these were the times when giants were on the earth, you break down what that word giant means. It doesn't just mean like in height. It means in terms of power and stature. So somebody who was really Genghis Khan would be considered like an Elohim.
So when the scriptures say like go into your closet and pray to your Father who is unseen, What is that talking about then?
What's the closet?
Your mind?
You guessing?
No, yeah, I'm guessing. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, when I tell y'all to break things down, what do you start with?
Language.
Knowledge.
I didn't hear what was. I heard something, but I didn't.
Knowledge. Said knowledge.
Knowledge. Oh, I'm sorry. No. Who was talking? Who was being spoken to? What was going on at that time? What's the context of that scripture? See, if you don't do that, you don't get it. Nothing you ever extract out of this amazing literary and spiritual work that we call these scriptures, nothing makes sense out of it's out of context, is great advice and is deep terms, but you don't understand how to apply it to yourself when you take it out of context. Y'all think I'm gonna break it down for you? I'm not though.
Nah, I knew you wasn't. So I'll have to go back and do that work.
You got to do the knowledge to that. Like, first find out why was he saying that. I know why he was saying that, but because sometimes like we say certain things, like we pull them out and we don't understand. Like, if you don't understand that these stories are about the journey of a people, a lot of times you won't understand that like this is a repetitive story of a group of people. That's what's actually happening. This just keeps happening over and over again. But if I don't understand the context, I don't know what I'm actually looking at. Like when you don't know that Adoma is a generation, you look at like where you get these little cartoons, Bible cartoons, is Adam and then it's Eve. It's two people. You don't even know that, no, this was a generation of people. So we understand that Adam was a generation and Hawa or Eve was a generation of people. Then that means this wasn't just one singular story that happened. This is like a story. This is like a story that's given to us to understand how a group of people fell from their rightful place. Instead of looking at it like, well, the serpent came along one day and said this, and then the next day or that night, God was like, get out. Like, nah, you got to understand what's being said. When you understand the language, like, yeah, like look at their names. One means earthlings. One means the living of the earth. This is a group of people. So once you get that, you'll look at some of these stories and say, no, this is like this is kind of the stuff that we be doing though. This is what we do over and over again. Like, take the story of Samson. How many men ended up going to war against their best friend because of pillow talk?
A lot.
Oh, lie.
See, it's what we do. So when you read Samson and Delilah, you making it a singular event and not like, oh, that's how we act. So when we read about Proverbs 31 and she's like, don't give your strength to a woman. Oh, because we keep having that issue. And that's the same issue Adam had or that generation had. Oh, you tell me what to do, baby. You want me? Okay, I'll hearken to your voice. Well, that's a problem that we have.
He's in love, man.
Love, man. You know what it is, that snapper.
That's what you do for love, right?
That yogurt. You love that yogurt box. You know.
So you're looking for the reoccurring theme that always keeps to be popping up. It's like okay, it's like you know, like guys of this era, you know, or you got these subtle fake YouTubers telling, you know, guys to, you know, go here, go there to find women. And I was like, hold on. Ain't that what Hebrews do? Like, that's the issue, you know? Ain't that what you be talking about? Like, you keep on going for these 4 women, and then this happens. You know, it's like, hold on, Yogi, I don't think the Rangers gonna like this. You know, that's what my mind kept on going to. You know what I'm talking about? Like, you know, if you look for the reoccurring thing, like you give away your strength, you know what I'm talking about? You stay silent when you shouldn't be silent, you know, thus, you know, you get the Jezebel, you know, and you don't, you know, you become tyrannical and you fall for other cultural ways, you know, then these things happen and they keep on happening. Like, you know, with history, you keep on seeing it in other cultures and you're wrong. But we don't look at it like it's, you know, with us, it's like, yeah, that's what we keep on doing. We probably need to rectify that, you know. That yeah, I'm done. That's my mind.
Let me ask you,
No.
Mr. Bakio Karak. Do you think the internet has something to do with that? And I'm saying that for the reason of if somebody was in a community, like Chief was speaking about with, and this is what I was going to ask about with the stalking. Like when somebody wrote songs about it, they had to actually follow this person. Now somebody has access to a bunch of people. So now instead of being like, you know what, I'm going to commit to this person, instead of that, I'm always looking for the next best thing. I'm looking for somebody who looks better than this. I can now have access to any state, any continent. I can start to look for certain people. Does that now feed into what you just were talking about? And is that now a positive or would you say a negative?
I would say it can be what the chaos machine wants it to be. It's like, you know, it's like how, like if you read the book and how they were talking about how, you know, when people were getting likes on like Facebook, their dopamine levels were peaking, you know, and then they will post more just to get those likes. It's like the same thing in a sense where you do this just to basically get that fix. You know, you ain't got to stalk a chick. You just go on Tinder and swipe left, swipe right, you know, but you don't really it you know, it's like you allow the chaos machine to like, okay, this person builds a profile. You don't know if that's really true, but because it's on their profile, it may be true, you know, but then you wonder why you get catfished. If you ever been catfished before, you know, because you fall into the profile of the chaos machine thinking that, oh, it's okay because it's there. It's there. It's what I can see. You know, it's not something that's shown improvement. You know, you ain't really seeing, you know, you just seeing what somebody wants you to see. It's like them dang on deep fakes or, you know, Photoshop. You know, anybody can look good with Photoshop, you know. So I would say, you know, it can be good, it can be bad depending on the mindset, you know.
It seems like that's a downfall of a powerful one. Yeah, look at David when he's looking across and he looks at this chick and, oh yeah, this one looks good. I want this one because if I'm in a powerful position and a man of power, then I want something that looks good on my arm. Regardless of looking at the character, this person may be a Jezebel, this person may be in a relationship, this person may bring some trials and tribulations into one's life. Although they look good, this is really what I'm supposed to have on my arm. Is that something that starts to lead up into the demise of especially powerful, quote unquote, men?
Well, I would say yes, if you look at the mindset. Like once he saw Bathsheba, what he started plotting. Like, okay, who her man? Oh, you right, Hittite. Okay, the plan's already forming. Okay, I'm gonna get this dude out. I'm gonna send him here, and then act like, oh, your man gone. Oh, babe, I'm so sorry, but you know, that was my man's. You know, so I'm gonna take care of you. You know, and put hands on you. I mean, make sure you straight. You know what I'm talking about? He didn't see it like, okay, that's the, they were supposed to be a man after God's own heart, but But then what? It was descent into the bloodline. Like, okay, because you did this, now your whole bloodline is going to be, at war with each other. You know what I'm talking about? And it ain't gonna be right. You know what I'm talking about? So I would say, yeah, if you got that mindset, because you gotta remember, David's the king. He could pull any chick he wanted, but you see a chick on the roof, throwing the trap out there, and apparently, well, by that he must have been thirsty,
Well, let's look at it like this. What does bot mean? What is yeah, exactly. What does Saba mean?
Saba means father.
Sheva. What does Sheva mean? Right. So Bat is woman, or it could be house. Sheva is 7. Bat Shiva, the woman of 7. What is the 7 that we're talking about? Remember I said that there's 7 seals to the body that lock down the senses? Mm-hmm. So when we're looking at Dawid and he's looking over at this, you gotta break these names down. David represents love. He's the love energy, right? How does love get tripped up? By the 7 senses. Or we really could say the 7 senses. By the 7 gateways to the senses, which was represented as Bathsheba or Bathsheba. I wanted to actually read a chat that was not a chat. Yeah, a comment that was in the chat. A question, rather. By BD Expressionist. Oh, you got it. Okay, cool. I thought it was hidden. Peace, Chief. Peace, everyone. I read The Unseen Realm. What I got was Elohim is whatever we give power. It can be food, drugs, your phone, anything that can make you bend to its will. Is that it? Great question, Jacquez. Okay. Anybody want to answer that?
I would say no. Because if I ain't got no power, I can't give power to an addiction, an attachment. So if I love food, but I ain't got power, I can't make the food powerful. The food has power over me.
Okay.
I'll answer too. I think what you said in the ending, kind of like the ending part of what you said was like more where I'll lean towards. Everybody does have this power of your own will. So when you're giving your will away to something, then I think can have power over you. So if you're giving your will to drugs, or you are giving your will to other stuff like that, that gives away your that whatever small source of power that you have. You may not have power over other people, but you can still have power over however, if you want to smoke or you want to drink or whatever the case may be. But I think in the context of what we're speaking about, I think that Elohim was pointing towards more of people, and people in your community, or people just in the world, however, like in total. I know you were speaking about.
We got a bunch of background noise. I don't know who it is. But
is it me?
You got some background noise. I know it's not true. You're all right. Your background is quiet. Ain't nobody over there with you. You by yourself.
Cat.
What you say?
But yeah, I'm just saying. Yeah, I think in the context I was speaking about is more towards people. Well, I think when we get like the understanding of God is just something that you give your power to. But I think Elohim was a different term than the word God. So I think we gotta kind of make a distinction between the two.
Okay. So I would say those things are very possible. When you read like holy works and you're reading about Elohim, even like in Torah, you're reading about good Elohim and bad Elohim. So it's not just one thing. When you look at the term Elohim coming from Elah or Him, Him means plural. It means multiple, right? So it would be multiple what? Elo or Elah. So that's the word really that you want to put your focus on is the Elah or Elah. Elah means, well, really, technically, it means a tree, the terebinth tree. But outside of it being a terebinth tree, it means a thing that is a pillar, right? So that thing that's considered a pillar, maybe in your community, maybe in your family even, may get that title of Elah, right? So when you see it transliterated, you'll hear like Elah means God. But that's lazy because it's like, well, Adonai means God, El means God, Al means God, Jehovah means God, Jah means God. Nah, you being lazy. These are different individuals. And some of them are down for you and some of them are not down for you. Right? So when we look at Elohim, we look at Elah and we say, okay, this represents that which I have, that which I'm in reverence of, or that which is considered a pillar. That could be a good thing, or it's like what you said. The I think it's DB or BD expressionist. Excuse me for messing that up. You got a long screen name, BD expressionist. So it could be something that's taking advantage of you, yes, because again, when we're looking at Elohim, we're automatically thinking like, this is something that's in the sky that loves me. So we feel like it's got to go either way. Either you love me or you're trying to manipulate me for parasitical reasons. And that's just not necessarily accurate, right? What have you determined to be a pillar for you? So that's why when you hear talk about Yahawashi, it said Yahawashi, the good shepherd. Well, why do you guys say a good shepherd? Why you just can't say the shepherd? Because if I'm shepherding sheep, I'm shepherding them to eat them, right? So the good shepherd says, I'm going to look out for you, and I'm not going to eat you, right? But if Yahawashi has to come forward and be like, look, man, I'm not going to eat you, then who were you praying to all this time? Who you were calling your shepherd? You see, that was the deep science of Yahawashi, because he came forward and was like, look, y'all praying to the wrong God, right? Like, that they got you worshiping idols and you don't even realize it. It would be like us right now. If us brothers, or even y'all in the chat, if we all got together and we rolled up on the Vatican and we was like, look, you know what I'm saying? We know what you're doing. You know what I mean? Like, we could even just take the scripture where it says, call no man father. Why would that be the first thing you say that your priest should be called father? When we're told confession ain't even a real thing. What the hell is this? You're just making up stuff. The hats, all that, the gear, the gold. What are you doing? You dress like Dolomite. So you look at that, and let's say we rolled up and started really breaking down, and started telling Catholics, like, yo, this is fake. This does not exist. This is something somebody made up. This whole Sunday thing, Vatican City, they so holy, they can't even, they're their own country. And they are the richest country on the planet. A lot of people don't know about the Vatican. They hold more gold stores than any other country on the planet. They're rich, the Vatican. You see, so we look at all of those things, and then we don't necessarily say like, okay, we need to tear that down. So Yahawashi steps forward and is like, look, man, y'all doing it wrong. You actually are praying to something that's killing you. You didn't realize that, but now I'm telling you. Or like if we ran up on Planned Parenthood, like, hey, this is a facility of Molech. This is Molech's temple. This is Molech's temple. What happens with the babies after they vacuum them out? Where do they go? Like, can I take mine home? What do you do with the babies? You see, this is Molech's temple. We are still bringing people here and doing human sacrifices here, right? So if I started talking that, what's going to happen? Somebody going to come after me. Like, you got to go, man. You got to shut up. Shut up. Or I'll probably get offered a job, actually. That's probably where it will start. I'll get offered a job, right? So what I'm saying is, like, there are still L's out here that are campaigning for their cause. Okay, campaign for your cause. There's the L that's over the Christians. Got Christians doing stuff that got nothing to do with Torah. Nothing. Because they're worshiping something, it's got a whole name and everything. But it ain't the God of the Bible. Like, it ain't what they think it is. You know, you got new religions that didn't even exist until recently, like Catholicism, like Islam. And they have to be scrutinized in a certain kind of way. So when you're looking at El, you're looking at Elah, meaning a pillar. This is a pillar or a tree or something that you're in reverence of. Elohim, many things that's a pillar or a tree is something that you're in reverence of. Great example. Niles' grandfather, I would consider to be an Elohim. He's someone where we grew up who is like he's a I'm laughing because I was talking to the city once. We were planning something and they weren't giving me the budget that I was supposed to get. And this sister she was just very honest. And she said, "You ain't Abishai." You know, she said that's his grandfather's name. She said it just like that. Like, well, you ain't Abishai. You know, it's like, you know, so that's the pillar. If we doing some cultures, there's gonna be some drums and people dancing, he gotta be there. Or if he ain't there, it ain't really, what is this? Who's doing this? You know what I'm saying? He gotta be there. So that would be an Elohim or an Elah. Now let's say if it's him and some other brothers and sisters, Elohim. Done. What is he the God of? Culture. For what region? This particular city and this particular state. A regional Elohim, they do exist.
So is it possible to develop a bloodline of like a family of Elohim? Is that possible?
Well, what is that?
Like that wouldn't that be
what is an Elohim?
Well, someone who's of reverence, or someone who has done something in a community or a space or in a particular body of work.
For sure. But do you know how to affect someone's frontal lobe so that they lose their ability to express language in a coherent manner?
No.
Okay, so the ones the Elohim who had stopped the ziggurat or the building of the Tower of Babel, they had that ability.
Okay.
Niles' grandfather can't do that. Right? So don't just that's the thing. You don't just want to make it one thing. You have to kind of step back and see more of a cosmic perspective. Anybody, like somebody who might have been an Elohim to me today might not be an Elohim tomorrow. After I grow, you're no longer a pillar for me.
Like the old gods versus new gods type of thing.
Some of y'all might have prayed to Jesus at some point in your life. And then somebody came, say, okay, somebody came, broke it down, was like, yeah, you know, there's a better way to do that. And now that's no longer what you call, oh, you getting ready to fall, you tripping, oh, Jesus. You don't even say that anymore. That's not who you call out to anymore. That's no longer your Elah. That's not your pillar of strength.
So there's different levels to Elohim.
Of course. There's a hierarchy.
Okay.
Yo, I mentioned that recently in the show. Lucifer, before Michael got Super Saiyan'd up, he whipped Michael's ass.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he was top dog. You know, that's why when there was a scripture when Michael's coming against him and he basically Lucifer's wilding out. And then Michael's just the Most High is gonna deal with you. Lucifer yeah, because you can't do nothing to me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You already know, Michael. You know what I'll do to you. You know what I'm saying? And then they had to get his Voltron suit. You know what I'm saying? There is, like I said, there's seraphims, there's cherubims, there's Nephilim, there's Raphaim. There's a high. that's the thing. That's the problem. That goes back to what Zach was talking about earlier about people who don't kind of grow up with certain things and see certain things. They don't respect hierarchy. They'll just wake up one day, you know, like I remember when I was younger, like some days dudes would just step out on the block like and be tough. And it's like, what? Like they got a headband on today and they got some, because back in the days we used to wear like construction gloves in our back pocket. If you seen a dude walk around with construction gloves, that means he fights a lot. You know, so dude just wake up one day, got a headband on, some construction gloves, and it's some Timbs. He walking up like, nah, man, I never even seen you fight. You know what I'm saying? But we have that now. Like we look at somebody like a T.I. or whoever, and it's like, yeah, T.I. real. What real? I ain't never seen him do nothing. You know what I'm saying? How did these people become so scary all of a sudden? Because we lost as us being of the seed of Elohim, we lost our sense of hierarchy. There's a pecking order to this thing. Everybody ain't got the same power as everybody else. And there's a placement. See, that's what Lucifer's thing was. He was like, man, I'm ferrying the light. And I'm light. So therefore, I feel like I'm better than everybody else. I'm carrying the light. So therefore, I feel like I should be in a better position. And most times, like I gave you, my grace is sufficient. I gave you what you get. Now I'm gonna take what I want. Okay. Good luck. You know, he doing all right. It's been 6,000 years, man. He doing all right for himself. He all right. He went and got his degree and everything. He doing good. He make good money. Lucifer doing, you know what I mean? He like that horrible cousin. It's like, yo, he making good money, all right, you know? So that's the thing. Like you when you think about Elohim, don't just think about it in terms of like this thing is over me and it's doing this and it's doing that. Because there are things in other dimensions that are praying to you. How many entities in other dimensions are staying alive off of your reckless sexual activity?
Thousands.
So you sitting here just minding your business, all of a sudden you're aroused. And you're like, oh yeah, I gotta, you know, rub one out. Right? And you thinking it's just because you got parasites, something you just gotta rub one out. And you may not realize, no, something is putting that urge into you so it can feed. Well, that urge could be also called a prayer. Please do this so we can feed off of your energy.
Mm.
I want to say how y'all doing.
Peace, Chris.
How you doing, Aki Zach, Aki Neil, Jaquez, Rakim, and
Yeah.
Neil.
Now, brother.
now.
It took me a minute. I was like, oh, he got a nickname. I said, wait a minute, ain't no nickname.
Dale El Kara. The question I wanted to ask is, I went to the orientation, and it wasn't successful. The reason why I had a lot of.
Are you about to ask a procedural question about something I knew about? You about to ask something about procedures?
Oh no, not procedures, not procedures.
Don't mess up the flow, brother. Come on, man. We flowing. We preaching from the survival scrolls tonight. Don't mess it up.
No, this time I invited my woman to join.
Okay.
Join too. I applied. How? And I want to ask Aki Zach this. How can I be better this time?
Wait, isn't this the brother who missed like 8 sessions? Didn't you miss, Matt? I'm gonna answer this. Didn't you miss a bunch of sessions?
Yeah, I started a new work schedule.
Well, I think you already know the answer to this question.
I don't know the answer.
All right. Well, Zach, I'm gonna let you. I'm gonna put. I got a clothespin here. I'm gonna just play with it while you work on this.
All right. Since you asked, then I'm gonna give it to you. Just just when he said you already know the answer and you playing dumb right now like you don't, you did that a lot. So in the sense that somebody would tell you something and then you would play dumb as if you didn't already know the answer, and then we would have to tell it to you again, and then you would say, well, this is what y'all are supposed to hear to do, right? You're supposed to hear to teach me, as if you were entitled for us to give you time, energy, and effort, and then you would show up when you felt like it, and then you would leave when you felt like it, and then be like, hey, I just had something to do. So if you can correct that, and just like you were speaking about the ego of now you coming in and you trying to act like you don't know what's going on, and I'm a victim here because I just got all of this stuff going on in my life and y'all are supposed to be supportive, as opposed to you looking at this as an opportunity for other people giving their time, energy, and effort to you, and then you respecting that time, energy, and effort by being present and actually trying to take notes and figure out what is being given to you.
Okay. I got you. I like to learn from my mistakes, and that's the major question I had to ask, because I want to be a part of the community and really get back in good graces.
All right, so what'd you get from the conversation up until this point?
I just joined when I got on a few minutes past, but right now I'm not. I'm just really listening in right now.
Okay, so what'd you get from the conversation since you've been listening in?
I would say, honestly, I would say that I got a it's a real brotherhood. That's what I really get.
Interesting. So, was you here when Aki Jacquez asked this question?
I don't think so. No.
When did you come in?
Let's see.
Short after.
I didn't hear his question though. I didn't hear his question.
Would you hear for the question that was put on the screen?
About 20 minutes ago. 30 minutes ago.
Would you hear for the question that was put on the screen?
About the young with the young lady right there that popped up on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
About the Elohim.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was here.
Okay, you got something to say about that?
Yeah, I do have something to say about that. And it was the pillar. Comment that Chief said, being the pillar. And some things, can be a pillar in your life, whether it's good or bad. Whether it's good or bad. So you have to look at the things and the people that in your life that was a pillar, whether it's good or bad, And that's what I really observed from that.
Okay. Thank you. All right, can we get back into the flow of things?
So I had a question. I was at like a christening recently, and there was a scripture up there that they was doing at the end of it, and it says Selah at the end, right? But they didn't say it, so I was like the only person who said Selah, and I was kind of confused. I was looking at, okay, why do people say Hallelujah or Hallelujah or whatever how they pronounce it, instead of saying Selah? Because Selah means like forever, and then like praise the Lord. Wouldn't that mean there would be certain times when you would say Selah instead of saying Hallelujah? And for me, Hallelujah, and I was looking at Hallelujah, I was looking at a Hebrew word too as well, so it was Selah, so I was kind of confused Because actually, like in the beginning, I remember I was asking about words, and I was kind of confused on why we would say one and not the other. Like, is I don't get it. Like, do any of y'all know kind of why that may be the case?
Where were you at?
Church.
Like, were you at church? You were at church?
I wasn't at, like I was. It was a christening. Like, it was my girlfriend's cousin's christening, and I got dragged along to it. So I was there, and I was just sitting back, and I was hearing them do this whole, like, I don't know what they call it, but they were saying something, and at the end it said something Selah, but they didn't say it. They didn't say Selah, and they just said Hallelujah after everything else. So I was kind of confused on why they don't say that. And like, I've never heard us say that. I never heard us say Hallelujah in I knew once when we said Selah instead. So I'm also kind of just like, we don't say Hallelujah. We'll say Selah, but they don't say Selah, but they'll say Hallelujah. So I'm just like, I'm trying to figure out why.
Did you ask your girlfriend? Because you said you were church, right? No, that's what I heard. My bad if I'm wrong, but you said that was her church, right?
No, my girl doesn't go to church. I'm saying her cousin was getting baptized.
Oh, my bad.
So
I heard you wrong.
we went to go kind of go see like her cousin or whatever. Cause yeah. So no, none of me and my girlfriend don't go to church. Neither of us go to church.
Okay, well, did you ask one of the members at the church while you were there? Like, why they didn't say it?
No, that's actually a question. I didn't do that. No, I didn't do that. I didn't even think of that actually. That's a good question.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't know. That'd just be where I would start with it if I was wondering, like, this y'all's organization, why y'all do what y'all do?
I mean, yeah, because we can't answer that, right? We don't know why they don't say what they say.
that's
You know what I'm saying? But I mean, we did. We at one point, I'm sure Chief did break down Hallelujah though,
Yeah.
where he talked about how it's like shining Yah, and it brings us to that idea of Yah being exalted above all.
is that like a podcast or a video, or was that a inside? Is that an inside?
I think it was in the Genesis one.
Yeah, I think I remember that actually. You're right. I'm gonna check that out. But
Because I remember he said it was similar to the term Allahu Akbar, which is like God is the greatest.
Yeah.
Or Allah is the greatest.
I'm gonna check that out.
I'm personally being reminded of a previous conversation that we had when we were building on the concept of Jezebel, and we were talking about. So I remember one of the first men bills we had, and we were talking about what to do in the presence of Jezebel. And right now, I'm really struggling to not address the energy that has swept into the space. You know what I mean? And I think it's kind of reflective of that same energy. And I think that the approach that we came to the conclusion of when you're dealing with a Jezebel type of energy is to remove it from the space.
What we talking about?
So I was just going off my spirit, off my flow, and I just was
Oh,
thinking back to the
yeah,
conversation
get
that
the
we had
cold.
about. I was thinking back to a conversation we had about just Jezebel energy, right?
What about him?
And I remember say that one more time.
What about him?
Yeah, and I remember one of the bill sessions we were having, and you put a question in the you posed a question to us, and you was like, so how do we deal with Jezebel energy? And I remember getting to the conclusion of we must like remove ourselves from a certain Jezebel energy because it has one purpose. It has a purpose, and it's not really something to be like negotiated with. I don't know.
You know, dudes can be Jezebels, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's a lot of times when you have those highly emotional guys who are expressing a lot of toxic femininity, they never build anything, but they always criticize and want to tear down. Yeah, that's Jezebel energy. But like the whole series, I mean, I pretty much told you how Jezebel ends up. You got to have the energy of Elijah. You got to study Elijah and how Elijah gets down. That's the answer. But there was something else said. So because I was off I had to go off for a second. So Raheem, you went to you went to Chris. What happened? Police party. What you
It
do?
was no, it was a christening. It was a christening. It was a christening.
What's that?
I guess where they pray over the baby and send over the baby to Christ, or give over the baby's life to Christ.
Why were you there?
I ain't got no reason to be there realistically.
Okay. You should have been too embarrassed to even bring that up, man. I would have never even told nobody that I was at a christening. A christening? What the hell is that? A christening. I did a ritual over a baby who didn't have any choice in the matter and committed that baby to some invisible sky god that I don't even know. And then after that, we went to Dave and Buster's and had, we ate and played video games. I would let that out, man. So this is your girl. Your girl is into this now, huh? Your girl's she's into like witchcraft. What's going on?
No. Just her cousin. Just her cousin, but she's not into any of that. No. But that was my fault because I let that slide. That was my fault.
Yo, strong men have to set a standard, man. You got to set a standard, and that's like, don't do anything that you don't understand because you're gonna lose your woman like that. When you start doing things that are nonsensical, when she starts to do things that are nonsensical, she's gonna throw all the dumb stuff you did. Like, well, you did this and you didn't know what it meant, and you gotta hold a standard, man. If it doesn't make sense, don't participate. Now, if she wants to do that and go, well, that's on you because you don't know how to really control nothing at this age anyway. You controlling everything from the hip. That's where you working from. But you don't know how to work that shit. You know what I mean? But that's a crazy question. Now, Chris, you said what you saw with the brotherhood. That's what you picked up out of all of this?
Yeah, that's what I really picked up. Meeting every week, talking, discussing things amongst each other.
Nah, the hell with that. This ain't no book club. The thing about it, yeah, man, like, men got to be strong. Men got to be strong today, man. So even when you come into this space, I'm saying this for any man who wants to log in or listen. Don't come in on that. Hey, Chris gone. He like, you yelling at me. I got a wife. I got my yelling at me. But, I'm out. But, yeah, man. You don't come in listening. That's passive. Come in with input. Brothers got to learn to stomp and move strong again, like back in the days. But a lot of time there's a fear, and we're passive because of that fear. That's got to stop, man, because nobody has any respect for that. And first impressions are important, and you only get for so many times. A lot of brothers think they could just sit back and listen for a long time, but like, I'm just checking it out. You checking it out with what? Like, what brain are you using to process what we doing? And then what conclusion is that brain going to lead you to? I'm not saying you, Chris. I'm speaking brothers in general. That's a bad habit people have a lot, especially when they come in communities and spaces like this. Well, I'm just sitting back listening. Don't sit back and listen, because now you're just sitting back and observing people who are putting themselves out there. And as men, we have to be strong enough to do that. I'm a very introverted person. After I do these lives, my back be sweaty, I be sleepy, face be all greasy. Like, this is not a natural thing for me to talk this much. But as a man, you get beyond that stuff. You know, so I would hope you got more out of it than like, oh, just the brother, F the brotherhood. You know, we only brothers if we doing the same thing. We ain't brothers because we chit-chatting. You know, that what do you get? And everything begins with a conversation, but there has to be some active input from everyone, or we begin to lose respect for each other. You know, and that's for anybody listening, man. I know a lot of movements, especially on the internet, like whatever, like ran by weirdos, man. We're in weirdo season, and I get that. I totally get that. But I'm not a weirdo. I'm not a weirdo. If all of this crashes tonight, I'm still cool. I'm still cool. You know what I mean? So I don't find my identity on the internet. You know, so we as men, we have to be larger than life. You know, we've been doing a series on family and things like that. You know, the way you keep your family is by being larger than life. If you go back and you look at like the Cosby Show with Bill Cosby, even though he was a sucker on the show and the roles were reversed, he was still like a larger than life character. You see? So when you come into a space with other men and you're mousy and you're sheepish, you're not coming in larger than life. And it's not to say that you're going to outshine the next brother. You're not. You're just going to show the beauty that all these men have when they come together and express their individualism and their ideas. But sitting back like, yeah, I'm just listening. That's not hard. And men should be hard. If you can't get hard, a woman doesn't want you. So keep that in your mind. You got to be directed. You got to be a man of strength. And being a hard man is being a stoic man, but being a man of direction. And sometimes brothers get on these lives and say things that are off. And I'd be like, I don't know about that one. See, that's toughness. That's mental toughness right there. Where you be like, okay, well, let me hear, like, okay, I'm off on that one. Let me hear. Boom. Then you come back the next time, you're like, yeah, well, that was last Strong's, dude. I don't even talk like that no more. I'm on this now. You see, we have to be men like that in this season, man. I'm just gonna say it, man. And you gotta pay attention. If you got any kind of focus problems, you gotta take some herbs. You got to learn, you got to learn how to be an active listener. Too many times guys are passive listeners. And then when you ask them, like, what did I just say? They say some generic stuff. Nah, I am not from Idaho. I'm from New York, the city and the state. So whatever con, like, we invented the con and everybody else learned it from us. So you can't come try to say something off the fly like that and think I'm gonna be like, oh, for real? No, Negro, you out your mother effing mind? Half my family is like, nah. I ain't gonna get into that. So come into this space and say some real stuff. But don't be saying no generic stuff and thinking I don't want that, man. I don't want nothing generic. I want potency. And even if you just got a little something, let that one. Sometimes you only got one tool in your toolkit. Let that be. If you got one, it's gonna be the shiniest, sharpest thing. But I just got this one. But when I work with this, can nobody mess with me? You don't have to know 1,000,001 things. There's no 3. Yo, let me tell you something, man. I've been telling people since I was 14 years old that there's no J's in the Hebrew language. I remember the first time I said that to somebody. I was 14. I still stay that joint. And people still be like, for real? I didn't know that. Because that's how sharp that all right, that's one tool, got that. Learn the Hebrew alphabet. Okay, I got that down. My other question when I was a kid, yo, what does the word holy, what does Holy Bible mean? Y'all have heard me say that. Ask people, ask Christians, what does the words mean? They don't know. I've been asking people that since I was 15 years old, right? So when I was 15, 16, I was out here slaying people, but I only knew about 5 things. I didn't know that much. If somebody would have went in the high gear on me, I probably won the fight. You know what I'm saying? You can't beat me though. It would have turned into that, right? You know, when you're young, you don't know better. But I only knew about 5 things, to be honest with you. But the 5 things I knew was like, you ain't getting around this. You ain't getting around this. You see? So that's the potency that you gotta have. You ain't gotta know everything, man. Don't worry about it. There's a lot of stuff I don't know. A lot. You know. But
It was
bring potency.
it was a question that Akizak asked El Karat. And that question was, is the internet messing up society and messing up men looking out to other women? They have a lot of different options, or the illusion of options. So when he said that, I thought about the Bible and that scripture that says, "An idle mind is the devil's workshop." And do
What scripture says that?
I don't know exactly.
Then don't be quoting it, because you're gonna, if you go and look it up, you're gonna get a little
I'm gonna
surprise.
say I'm gonna say a saying. I'm gonna say that a saying is, idle mind is the devil worship shop.
Okay, I understand.
And another thing is the lack of family structure that we have now. Do you think do you guys think that's a lot, that have a lot to do with the things that's happening on the internet today, far as women doing what they doing and men doing what they doing, far as looking for options
You're
that they?
married, right?
Now, I'm not officially married.
Okay. I mean, y'all sleeping together, right? Y'all sleeping together, wake up sometimes, have breakfast together.
Yes.
That's your wife. All right. So boom. All right. What kind of structure do you have?
Right now, I would say that I have structure with with my children, keeping them from the public school system. Um,
How do you do that?
well, by educating them through their mom and
Hmm.
through the belief that I impose upon them.
Okay.
Mhm.
So what is, like, if you could give me like the tenets of your belief, like how do you approach education? What is the first thing that you start with in your mind? Like, and you say, okay, it has to be this.
The first thing I would start with ruminates from my childhood and what went wrong in my childhood is the
Mhm.
dietary laws. A lot of
Yeah.
people in my family are sick. So I don't let them eat a lot of junk food, a lot of sweets, a lot of candies and stuff like that. Another thing is um, stopping the process of being a worker in the school system. Was created by not Rockefeller, Henry Ford, and it teaches you how to be a worker. And I didn't want my children to be taught only to be a worker, so I kept them away. I want to keep them away from school for the first 6-7 years.
How old are your youth now?
5 and 2.
Okay. So one of them, I guess, pretty soon is going to be, you're going to be putting them into that environment.
Not the public school. No, I'm like a Montessori school or something like that.
Okay. Do all you brothers know what type of school that is?
A monastery?
Yeah.
My nephew went to a monastery.
Okay.
But
That'll.
that's done. Once you turn like that age, you done.
So let me ask you this, Chris. When you had your youth, right? Did you plan them out?
The first one.
The first one you planned out. The second one, you know, stuff happens.
Yeah,
Okay. Are they by the same woman?
yeah,
Okay. So what is your family? So is it this is the woman that you're currently with?
yeah.
Okay. But you're not officially married. What how do you define officially married?
You know, a couple weeks ago, I listened to what if it was it was either the study, and you did it about marriage, and you was talking about the ceremonies and things that have to happen to be the covenant. You was talking about the covenant, and yeah, I don't remember the rest of it, but you was talking about a covenant, and you was talking about the sacrifices as well that goes on in the marriage, and I think they still do that in Somali, the Somalian culture. The women have to make some type of sacrifice or something like that, and I noticed much how incomplete our marriages are in here in America. You know what I mean? Here,
So you're saying your marriage.
yeah, very incomplete. You know,
How do you plan on fulfilling it?
by being educated on the right thing to do first.
How long that take?
I don't know. I don't know. Well, it shouldn't take no more than a year or two, right?
Did it take you a year or two to figure out how to have sex?
No.
Okay, so when you wanted what you wanted, you went right at it.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
what do you have to give us brothers who may find ourselves in a situation with two or three young children and we don't want to necessarily give our children over to Babylon? What would you suggest the first thing we do?
First thing you do, I'll listen to another one of your videos last week, and I replayed it. And the first thing you were saying about a man is to find a way to provide for your family. That's the first thing you got to do. And me and you had a podcast, not podcast, a consultation years ago. And you know, I was just starting out driving trucks and stuff. I do other stuff now. And you was like, I was like, I only want to do this 5 years. And you was like, why not do it 10 years? You know, finding a a mean of income is the first thing.
Okay. Getting some income.
That's the first thing.
I would love for you to maybe put together a 10-point plan for brothers who want to start a family and things to kind of look out for. That would be really valuable. How old are you now, Chris?
30.
30, right. Especially for cats who's, 20, 21, and starting to have those kind of thoughts. If they had a list they could look at and say, okay, boom, maybe I need to consider this. Maybe I need to consider this. I need to consider this. Like, do you have life insurance?
Life, yes, I do.
Right. So something like that sometimes you don't really hear about in love songs. Because love songs don't really tell you how to have a relationship. They just tell you what you're supposed to feel for whatever dumb reason. I don't know. They just come out. I give you the world. Why? I don't know. Right. But they don't really actually tell you how to keep a family going. You know what I mean? But I think that would be an extremely valuable bill for brothers and sisters. Like again, like you mentioned the food. Yeah, pure food creates a pure body.
Yeah.
And that right there will defeat a lot of arguments because you ain't got parasites controlling your behavior. I think that's very valuable. Or the educational piece when it comes to the children, like what is the ultimate plan? Like you have your own business now.
Yeah, I'm starting medical carrying, and I got a Etsy shop.
Okay. So like even something like that, like conversations around, okay, I don't want my children to be a worker. How do I lead the charge in that?
Yeah.
You got to give what you got, man. Put it in the middle of the floor. If you ain't putting it in the middle of the floor, I don't know. I feel like maybe you hate us.
Well, I can come up with things that I experienced. I can come up, and it's a lot what we talked about a couple years ago. And if you want to have a family first, you got to have a plan. You got to have a plan. You don't want to go out and you in a bad mood because another man is overshadowing you and telling you what to do. In working all day, missing all the time from your kids, and working things that's not going to benefit your kids, but you benefiting somebody else's kids by working for them.
I'd love to see this written list, man. This would be dope. This would be something we could read out over the air.
Okay, I'll show up next week with it.
That's what I'm talking. See what I'm saying? That's what it is right there. That's what it is right there. That's called building. Now, mind you, he ain't showed up with nothing yet, so we ain't gonna be clapping or nothing. But he talking right. He talking that stuff. That's what it is. You see? Throwing what you got into the ring, man, so brothers can build on top of it. Yo, you know the gold prices are soaring right now.
Well, let me get some of that.
Wait, you said what?
I can go.
You said what, Chief?
The gold prices are soaring.
Are they going down, you mean?
Yep, that's usually, you might say you soaring through the air, usually mean you falling.
Oh, no, I didn't hear soaring. I heard pouring. That's what I heard. My fault.
The gold prices
I thought
everybody brag about how the education in Canada is free. You see what you get? You yeah, man.
I want to ask you something, because I think what Chris just spoke on is something that I've heard, and it starts to even make me think of the dude that got locked up. Of when people start talking about getting off the grid. I don't want to be a part of this system, and I'm not necessarily wanting to work, but they're in a relationship at the same time, and then somebody else is paying the income while they're figuring these things out, or they listen to somebody telling you should just move out here and we're going to live off the land and we're going to do all of these things. Like, is that, I don't know. I'm looking at it in the sense that I'm almost seeing how detrimental it is to people, in the sense that it's starting to rip not only people falling for a fantasy of somebody pulling them to a never island and telling them that this is the way it can be and give me all your stuff and we all going to stay here. But then at the same time, you still would need to, like, but you're still using, even on if somebody has a business, you're using all of the things in the matrix at the same time in order to get ahead. So it's like, how much can one actually use that? Of saying that they're just going to X themselves off from it and move, and I'm going to do my own thing, as opposed to learning how to use that system, but still raise your own juggernauts.
And isn't
Man, dudes are lazy. Dudes are clowns, man, nowadays. They freaking lazy. If you say, okay, I want to live off the land, what does that mean? Do you know you're going to have to get a shovel and dig a hole and doodle inside that hole and cover it back up? Like, did you know that? You know what I'm saying? Like, dudes are lazy. They don't take the time to learn anything. Or if you say, okay, somebody says, I got an island, come over here and give me all your stuff. Okay, cool. Let me see the auditing. How much does it take to run this situation? Because if I find out it takes $7,000 a month to run this situation, and you just collected $80,000 from me, like my inheritance or something, then I need to see where this is going. What's happening here? You know, so a lot of times people don't understand. Men don't understand basic industry. We don't have those kind of conversations because they're not as interesting as us talking about Orisha and dreams. But basic industry will keep you from getting conned. If you say you want to pull out of the matrix, that's cool. What is the matrix? And what have you redefined what freedom looks like for you? Because for some people, freedom is, we're going to go back to Africa. We're going to move to Nigeria. You're going to move to Ghana. Okay, cool. Mm-hmm. You ever hung out with a Nigerian? Like, do you really know what you're going to be around? Like, does that vibe really work for you, or are you just dreaming? What do you? I've seen people go over to the continent with no plan for money because they got some. Well, I got $10,000. Okay, yeah, that'll last longer. That'll last there, but it's not gonna last you the rest of your life. You know what I'm saying? What's the plan? I don't know. I figured out when I get there. You're gonna go a place where you don't even speak the language, and you're gonna figure it out when you get there. So I've seen that so many times, and then they come back talking crap about the continent. And it's like, no, you're lazy and didn't cover what all men should cover. All men should have a basic understanding of accounting. All men. How can you run a house and you don't know how to account for things? How many cats don't know how much they get paid? Like I say, what's your check? You got a check, you got 9 to 5. What's your check down to the cent? You don't know. You just know your stuff is paid. When my bills is paid, I don't even pay attention when the check come in. That's poor accounting. You know what I mean? Like, so how are you ever going to run anything when you don't know the basics of things or basics of law? What happens when you get pulled over and your family's in the car and you doing something crazy because you don't know what to do and you salute in a certain way because somebody told you, if you hold your hands like this, they'll let you go and all that. And, and now your children in the car crying and being traumatized because you're being dragged away because you wanted to drive around with no license plates. And you didn't take the time to learn what that is. So a lot of times, man, dudes are just lazy. That's what it really is. That's why people come into, they come in super excited because they're like, oh, Chief knows all that magic, all that Orisha stuff, all that occultism. He speaks all these different languages. And then they come in and I'm like, yo, what's your credit score? Do you just work a 9 to 5? Do you also have a business? Where do you live? Do you have debt? And it's like, man, this ain't sexy. You know what I mean? This dude, he ain't talked about no magical elves, no warlocks or nothing yet. He over here talking about how I need to bring my credit score up from a 420 and this and that, and I need to have investments and I need. That's not cool, but that's being a man. Because you never know what kind of situation you get in, and you want to go and free up and live in the woods. That's all cool. And then, one of your sons or daughters gets into a legal situation. And now you're at the mercy of who? The same system that you were running from. Because you didn't take the time to learn some basic things. I mean, how many dudes sit down with the children and say, this is what you do when you're affronted by law enforcement. These are your rights. Or I'm going to show y'all how to make some money and then what to do with the money. I'm going to show you what money actually is. Let's set some goals. What do you want? You want a new bike? You want a new skateboard? You want your own little mini bike or motorcycle? Let's look at how much it costs and what we have to do to get to that point. You see, so a lot of dudes fall for these cons, man, because again, it's that gynocentric thinking. And then what happens is when you're a gynocentric feeling, when you're functioning from that perspective, you can't see the con. Or if you do see the con, it's okay with you because it feels familiar. It's like the sister who deals with dudes who are bums, who they know are going to leave them after they get pregnant, but that's what they're used to. My brother was like that. My cousin was like that. My dad was like that. So guys end up being the same way and they end up getting conned when they go out into the larger environment and then they complain about it. But all you gotta do is ask certain simple questions. Jay Morrison took all them people money. But when you asking questions, you got Umar Johnson, give me money, hit the cash app, hit the cash app, hit the cash app. Yo, let me see the business plan and let me see the accounting. Let me see your legal paperwork. Yes, you were a school psychologist who couldn't keep that job. But do you know anything about school administration? Do you know anything about construction? Do you know anything about project management? But these are not terms that we know. So somebody say, well, I'm here to save black boys. Send me your money. Oh, yeah, he trying to do something good. Life doesn't build that way. See, that's the thing. Sometimes we look at Babylon, we just say, yo, burn Babylon, burn Babylon. But Babylon was built on certain principles that allow it to still stand. I want to go move in the middle of the woods too. Do I know how to pour a foundation? Do I know how to keep snakes and rats and mice from coming inside of my cabin? Do I have to live in a cabin? Can I live in something else? Do I even have to go in the middle of the woods? Maybe I really do like the city. Does that make me bad? You know, but it starts with the self-sufficiency of thought and understanding how to maintain your own economy. That's what it begins with. And the economy is the life of the house. Look around your house. Can you maintain, sustain, and understand everything within your house? And if you can't, yo, you're not the man of the house.
Is that like when you did the How to Be a Husband video? You were like, you said the first thing is
Man,
to understand the concept. Pardon me?
I don't know.
You said the first thing is the concept.
I don't even know what I was saying back then. It was so long ago. See, I'm getting old, man, and my memory has been going and stuff like that. So at this point, I need y'all to take those lessons. See, I can barely even see now. I need y'all to take those lessons and carry them forward. I ain't gonna always be breaking down and deciphering something I taught 10 years ago. Because you know what? I probably didn't even care about it when I was teaching it. And I sure as hell don't care about it now. That was for y'all. That was food for y'all to take and go grow and run with. Not for to be like, oh, well, I understand that lesson. What you doing with it? Let me see it now.
Okay, so then I'll liken it to what we're talking about right now. So when you said
okay, I'm gonna liken it. Don't be try to use no Shakespearean words either. All right? That doesn't make me. That doesn't shut me down. I see what you did. Okay. We talking too much, man. That's what I'm saying. You over there going to christenings.
No, it's not gonna happen again. We're gonna fix that up next week. You ain't gonna hear that. Next strong.
They ain't no more christenings. You know when the next baby come.
Nah. I'm gonna be on point. I'm gonna be on point. I'm not gonna go to no more.
Let me ask you this. How'd the courtship go with your girlfriend?
I didn't know about. I knew about courtships, but I didn't do it. I didn't do a courtship when I got with her.
Okay, so what was you saying about being on point? I didn't hear everything.
I wasn't saying that.
Yeah. All right. Well, I ain't gonna drag this on, man, because yeah, this has been something. But there's a lot of people in the chat. Let me see if there's any questions, anything, or any, feedback or whatever. Oh, Jacques says his phone was dying. How the Infinity said, I appreciate the dialectical chief offered just now. I just touched on the Anu way, Chief EI, and I'm grateful to reference this great template for family and community building. Respect Zach to the topics nowadays around authenticating your birth certificate and operating commerce in private versus a sovereign citizen. Yeah. Even that, what does it mean to be private? How important is it to be private? There's no such thing as a sovereign citizen, though. You can't be both. Citizen means to be a slave. So you can't be a sovereign slave. But yeah, even terms around like sovereignty and citizenry and, things like that are important. These are important things a man needs to know, because I'm going to tell you what happens when nowadays children think they know everything. They're so freaking annoying. So when they start spitting stuff to you, you got to be 10 steps ahead of them. You got to notice that, I ran this guy, he had this thing on his head and he started talking about what's my nationality and this and that, and he made a lot of sense. You got to know when stuff don't make sense. That's why I'm always happy when sometimes somebody says something and Raheem will be like, I appreciate it, because it's like, yeah, he's able to peep. That's an important thing. Like, y'all laughing, but like, we know he's not going to get got by certain things. That's a good feeling. You could really suffer a lot of heartache and pain getting flim-flammed by people. It's a hurting feeling, So I just look at that and I say, yeah, man, like that's a beautiful thing. I'm just going through some of these chat points.
That happened to me, and I thought it was a test of my faith. and I'm like, oh, this is Jesus. I was in church, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is just seeing if I'm gonna step out on faith and money gone, and I had nobody to blame but myself because I was being lazy. That was just I thought it was just gonna all work itself out, and things were gonna be okay. And nah, this is not the way to go. And it was a hard lesson, but nonetheless, it will never happen again.
The format living be off, brother. Like I said in the I New Way, first 7 years of your adult life, you grind like crazy. You set yourself up for the rest of your life. After those 7 years, your life should mainly just be study and monitoring investments. You know, how many, like right now, if we could take every brother that's here right now and said, okay, let's start that 7 years today. How realistic would that be? To say I'm only going to work for the next 7 years and I'm not working again after that. That would change your whole course of study and your whole course of activity. So yeah, you would be thinking more investment. You would be more investment driven. You know, now I would take that foreign car. He sell that. He get himself a little Toyota Corolla. You know, 94 Corolla. You know what I mean? Just chill out. You know what I mean?
That's actually where my mind's been at lately. Like, that's where my mind's been at lately. Because I've been like saturating myself in just business stuff lately. And one of the things that keeps coming up is like, don't fall into the trap of the appearances and making sure that you are getting assets and not liabilities. So it's like something like, for example, like a truck. Like if you get a cheap truck, that you could turn that into an asset for yourself because you could do a whole bunch of other stuff with it versus, you know, just having a car that you could drive around.
That's just second.
It's just, you know, yeah. And so
yeah, you're right. When I was younger, like even before I started driving, my father for years would stress to me to get a station wagon. He would always be like, man, get yourself a station wagon, get yourself a station wagon. This was before like the era of SUVs, because as a teenager, I was a working musician. So his thing was always like, when you get your own car, you'll have something you can load your equipment in. And back in the days, that was like a big deal. If you would get calls to play with bands if the drummer knew you had some kind of vehicle where he could fit his equipment in the back of your vehicle along. And as a bass player, we have big amps we got to carry and stuff like that, you know, back then. So his thing was like, man, get yourself a station wagon. You'll always work. You'll always get calls for gigs. And I'm like, I ain't driving no station wagon. Like, who I live like driving a station? No, you crazy. I'm not doing that. You know what I mean? So my first joint out the bat was a little 318 BMW drop top 318i. And I used to have the equipment hanging out the back, ripping up the leather seats. You know what I'm saying? Just dumb stuff. But it's like, I need to try this. You know what I'm saying? But he was right. If I was focused on that would have changed my entire life, because I would have known every time I got in this car, this is a work car. This car is for music. It ain't for, well, maybe hunching, because you can hunch in the station back. You got all the space in the back. But aside from hunching, this is for music. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. That 318, I broke the seat in my 318. It wasn't, I was too big for that car. And I had a lot of big women at that time. But so that's what I'm saying, man. Like, now you're absolutely right. Like, if you make your purchases in purpose-driven investment, that's the key. Everything. From the clothes you're wearing, the furniture you buy, where you live. And if you say, yo, for the next 7 years, I'm just gonna be on this. I promise you, because what does it take? What does it take for you to live comfortably? Let's say with a 6 or 7 member family for the rest of your life. Passive investment, right? So let's say you got a 60 unit or even a 30 unit apartment building. You're pretty much done. Then you might have some other investments or work that you do outside of that, but you have something that's generating a large amount of income. Now, now, if I say that right now, get yourself a 100-unit apartment building. For everybody listening, you're probably intimidated. But if I say, like, now I'll just say, like, yo, I'm gonna immerse yourself in that for the next 6 years. I bet you by year 3, you're not gonna be that scared anymore. It's gonna be like, yeah, this probably by year 2 or year 1, like, this makes sense. I can actually do this. You're gonna meet more people who did it. Like, oh, this isn't that crazy. I actually can retire in 7 years. And that changes the whole dynamic for your trajectory. Will Smith doesn't have to take his family and go live in the woods to be safe. He ain't got to do that. He got so much money, like, man, I'll get a helicopter come and fly me up out of here if something pop up. I got money like that. So your survivalism means different things at different times and, you know, in different sort of spaces. But if you took 7 years and said, I'm going to take the most intimidating thing I can imagine and I'm going to attack that. You know, maybe I want a cruise ship, you know, like whatever it is, you could do it within that time. Work like a slave for 7 years and live like a king for the rest of your life.
I think part of the lack of like maybe confidence when it comes to some of that stuff with some people is because it's like money is still spooky for them, or that like getting money is still spooky. So it's like you don't actually understand like there's a process to it. It's not like I think a lot of people too, they think it's like a lucky thing. Like, oh, you got money, you're lucky. Like versus like you actually learned business, or you learned sales, you learned how to sell to people, you learned persuasion tactics, you learned marketing, you learned what a target audience is, and you learn these different terms and these different principles of business to actually stand on as you go down that path. Versus, oh, you can take this course and you could make $10,000 a month from day trading.
Of course, right.
I'll sell you this trading bot, or I'll sell you this drop shipping.
Right.
And it's like you're not actually learning. Okay, you can make it in drop shipping, but you have to know like how do you run an email funnel? Like how do you make a lead magnet? How do you make a sales page?
Right.
How do you make an offer page? Like these are all things you have to learn in order to actually see any success in that world. If you don't know that, you're not gonna win. Because
you know what it too? It's knowing it to do it, but it's knowing it to have the conversation. You just said terms. I know the terms you mentioned, but I know you mentioned some terms that people don't even know what the heck you're talking about. So now, because I don't even know the jargon, I can't even get in the room now. So sometimes that's where the confidence it leaves. Like he just said, I don't know what the heck you talking about. Lead magnet, sales funnel, what, huh? You know, and it shuts down, and it's like, well, but I was on IG and somebody came on screaming at me, telling me don't click away, and you know that looks like that'll work. He was standing in front of a Lamborghini, you know. So sometimes it's just as simple. I'll give you something real simple. I may have shared this. I don't know. Before I got into computers back in the days in the 90s, I owned a barbershop, right? And I felt like I could do more, even though it was a great thing, like, but I felt like I could do more with my life, right? I didn't really respect like the fact that I was a storefront business owner at a very young age. So I was like, man, I want a corporate job. This is where my mind was so twisted, because I had clients. My customers used to come in, especially like on Saturdays. I'm cutting hair, I'm sweating, it's hot. I got hair all in my mouth, and they would come in and be like, "Yeah, we about to go play ball." They fresh, and then I see them during the week. They come in with their suits. Yo, cut me real quick. I'm on my lunch break, and I'm just like, y'all get to like have like go out on Saturday, and I'm stuck in this barbershop, you know. So I got tired of it, right? So I wanted to get into computers. So at that time, back then, computers were ridiculously expensive. They were prohibitively expensive. So I would buy books, computer books, and just read the language, because I believe that in any field, if you could speak the jargon, you could get into that field. I did not own a computer. I owned a word processor at that time. It was a brother word processor that my father gave me. I did not own a computer, but I had like probably like 15, 20 books on programming, computer repair, all these different stuff, no computer. And ended up getting a job with Xerox in their XPS, in their computer division, because I went into the interview and I talked so far over the interviewers' heads. They just thought I was like this computer geek. And I kind of knew what I was talking about, kind of, but not really. And I think I told that story when I got the job and they gave me a laptop, I didn't know how to turn it on. So I wrapped it up in my coat and went into the bathroom. This was in Xerox, Terrytown, New York. They had a headquarters there. And I wrapped it up in my coat and I went into the bathroom and I'm sitting in the stall trying to figure out how to turn this thing on. I get it on. And then I didn't close the case all the way. I had it halfway open because I was like, if it turns off, I'm not gonna know how to turn it back on again. And then brought it back to my desk. And was like, yeah, I'm ready to rock. What we doing? And within like a month, I got a promotion. I was a Visual Basics programmer. Basically, what happened was I was overhearing the sales staff speaking, and they were like, yeah, we need to outsource our programming for our macros, for our sales consumables. I peeked my head over the cubicle and I said, I know how to do that. Lying, straight lying. I was like, yeah, I know how to do VB programming. Oh, you do VB? Yeah. Oh, okay. Monday, come into the sales meeting. We could talk about how we could set this up. That was Thursday. So that Friday, I went to the store they used to have called Comp USA. I think they closed. They don't even have it anymore. And they had this clearance bin where you could go in and buy like books. So I bought 2 books, Teach Yourself Visual Basics for Dummies and Learn Visual Basics in 21 Days. I went and bought 2 large pizzas and 2 large stewed chickens. Went home, locked myself in my apartment and went through these books crazy. Monday morning, came into the office and was like, all right, what we doing? We ready? I taught myself VB in 3 days. Because mainly it's a programming language. Mm-hmm. You just got to learn the language. Once you learn the language, you in. It's a language. You see what I'm saying? So that's a part of it. So I'm just giving that story to tell you how far you can go from language. At the time I had that job, I had a high school diploma. I didn't have computer science. They didn't know that. They thought I went to school for computer science, but I knew the language. And I dressed a certain way and I had a nice car. So it was like, yeah, we got to, and I made it clear, you got to continue to support this lifestyle that I'm used to. But it's learning the language and learning the movement and how to navigate environments. Start with the language. And that's in anything. So even what Niall just said, you would be able to build with him if you knew the language. And I know some of y'all don't know the language. I know you don't. And when I went into that job, it was like real computer guys. It was like dudes who actually knew what they was doing. And I would be running from them left and right. I'm going to tell you something crazy about that, and I'm going to hand it back over. John, I can't remember John's last name. He was another computer guy. I think he was a programmer. And they was always like, yeah, go work with John on this and work with John. And I was always so terrified that John was going to realize I was a fraud. So I used to run real fast to catch up, to always be ahead, to end up being the smartest computer guy in the company. But I would run real fast. And back in the days, I'm gonna give you something interesting. This is how long ago this was. We were talking about how you can buy books to learn different programming languages. So I'm like, really? For real? I'm playing dumb. Mm-hmm. So he was like, yeah, go on this site called Amazon where you can buy used books. Back then, Amazon used to only sell used books. And John was like, it's a pretty interesting idea, the way you can recycle used books on this site. And he was trying to tell me about buying stock in the company. Mm. But at that time, I didn't know anything about stocks. So I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna talk to my broker. Lying. Because I didn't know what the heck, and then I'm like, Amazon, what is, that just sounds crazy. Used book. How do you make money off of used books? just to give you an example. But if I understood his he was talking stock language to me. I didn't know what the heck he was talking about, and I'm just nodding my head. But if I knew the language, you know, I would have made the money John made off of Amazon.
And what you were saying reminded me like about this idea that you can increase your income, like how much money you make through the skills that you have. So you were able to go ahead and learn that, and now you have that job, and I'm sure you was making a certain amount of money that you wanted to make at the time.
Yeah, I was killing. I was killing.
But it's all off of you just deciding that, you know what, I'm gonna learn this skill.
Yes.
So now there's so many things that you can learn literally right on the internet. Like earlier today, I took it was like a 5-hour copywriting course, and I went through that, took notes, and I was applying it to my own stuff, like as I went through it. You know what I'm saying? And it's like it completely like shifted a lot of things in my mind, because I'm like, oh, a lot of this stuff that we see, like the direct advertising we see, like it's very intentional what's going on, and there's a formula to everything. And if you know how to, like you said, speak that language, if you know the system behind it, then you can do it too.
Yeah. That's why, and there's people who are learning it. I mean, sometimes it's as simple as advertising something and putting the word "you" in it.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Instead of "you." How you can learn how to.
Yeah.
Like that for me. That's done purposefully. You know, 7 steps for you to, you know, because there's a psychological aspect where you kind of people understand how the mind works as well. But yeah, it's learning the skill, but it's also having the intention on. I mean, I'm going to talk about this a bit tomorrow with polygyny, but it's having the intention that I am not going to live under anyone's thumb. So I'm going to do whatever I got to do, but I'm not living under anyone's thumb. And once you set that intention, then learning these new skills or taking a 5-hour class is like, yeah, that's learning is what I do. This is work, you know.
It seems like the difficult part about that, which has been spoken about over numerous, is being able to delay gratification. So
yeah,
in a sense, and then even when Now was speaking about his car, it started even making me think like, you know, especially if you just getting out into the world, you at least my mind was, if I pull up in this, I can have better access to that, right? So I'm going to spend everything that I got to drive this to get access to that, so that therefore I'm good. However, it's not, I wasn't thinking anywhere 5, 10, 15 years from now. I'm only in the moment, and the moment was just starting to have me just spend on liabilities and not having any asset. Well,
sometimes it's also it's the spell of non-sensibility that you're under, right? So like one of the things that I always taught my sons was never buy a car to impress a girl, because girls don't know how to work on cars. And I don't mean that to be sexist, but by and large, girls don't know anything about cars. You know, so why would you buy something and you buy in a certain model to impress someone who doesn't even know what the hell it is? They don't even know how to open up the hood. And you just spent all this extra money. You know what I'm saying? Like, so like a great example, I was out, this is wild, I think last summer. There was a car parked, it was a Toyota 4Runner parked on the street. And my son was like, why is this car always here? I was like, oh, because somebody stole it and then left it here. I was like, but you know, you can actually get these cars, like you could claim them. And I was like, there's a process where you got to put an advertisement, and, you know, and let people know this. And he was like, for real? Like he's getting amped. He was like, I can get this? I was like, yeah, it's just paperwork. It's a process, but it's been here for me. You could probably get this. So he's now daydreaming. He's like, yo, I could see myself in this. Da, 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 da. So a young lady walks by and he says, he being his flirtatious self, he was like, how I look in this, how I look on this car right now? And she was like, it's kind of, she was like, I don't know, I'm not really feeling it. She was like, maybe something like a Cherokee or something would be better. I don't know, I don't really like that for you. And he's like, for real? And like, I just had to say it. Like, I didn't wait till she walked away. I said, man, don't listen to her. You know, and she's like, excuse me? I was like, she don't know nothing about cars. She don't even know that the 4Runner is a better quality vehicle than a Cherokee. But this is who we talk about Elohim. This is who you're bending to. And it's a nonsensical, it doesn't even make sense. You see, you're going to buy a Mercedes, but if you clean up a Hyundai Sonata and take all the decals off of it, she'll like it just as much. Old head put me on that back in the days. He used to be like, man, all you got to do is keep your car clean. You ain't got to do all that extra. Just keep it clean. You know, he was right. He was driving a Saturn at the time, like when Saturn first came out. Like, your car is whack. He's like, man, but he always had these different women in it. He's like, man, you just gotta keep it clean. Keep it smelling good, keep it clean. That's it. You know? So, but that's old head wisdom. But you know, again, you're trying to impress someone who doesn't even understand what you're doing. I used to see that in the musical industry. I always thought was very fascinating how you'd have dudes who are mountain climbers and running marathons, and you bringing in like hood hip hop music. These are A&Rs, and they're telling you if it's good or not. I used to be like, I mean, I remember sitting in offices like, yo, we really listening to this dude right now? Like, seriously? And he's sitting, you know, they'd be sitting there, you put the tape back then, it was tapes. You pop the tape in and they, this is dope. This is dope. I'll be like, yo, you can't be serious. Like, you know, how are you going to tell me the value of my culture? You see, it's that, but we nonsensically bend to that. You see.
Peace, everyone, man. Shalom alaikum.
Peace.
Yeah, man. I apologize for coming in late. But yeah, I appreciate which you gave, man. When you was talking about, you know, you going to the computer science and you have to like you know, study up, and so you know, it just made me think like, man, like it's really no excuse, man. Like, you know, if you want it, man, go get it. And it made me thought. So early this morning, man, I had to do a you know, assignment for one of my classes, and I had to interview someone who's in the same career field, you know, that I'm trying to pursue. So I ended up interviewing this guy, and he was just telling me his story, and you know how he got into the career and in the you know, his in the career path and whatnot, and I told him, man, I was like, yeah, man, like, you know, one of the things I kind of like have issue is just communicating. He was talking about coaching, and I asked him like how he developed his coaching style and whatnot, and how he communicated and whatnot. And he told me, you know what he did and whatnot. And I was telling him, I was like, yeah, man, like, you know, for me, man, it's like, you know, I have trouble communicating. You know, I don't feel like that I don't know everything or whatnot. And he was like, man, like when I got in, you know, he's saying it's all about confidence. He was like, man, I got in and I act like I knew everything, but I really didn't. And he said, just from there, I kind of just learned through the experience and whatnot. And that's how he kind of got better, man. So, yeah, I just wanted to share that, man. That just made me think of that, man, you know.
That's a great story. Like, that's confirmation. Yeah. You know, how are you coming into the room? You know, at the end of the day, because think about the authority that we give people sometimes. Like, yo, how many commercials you watch and you see somebody in a white lab coat, and you be like, oh, that's a doctor, you know, and like, it's an actor, it's not a doctor. But as soon as you see that white lab coat, you immediately confer authority. You know, so sometimes based on social programming, if you see certain things, you know, like it's like they speak about height in terms of sales. You know, taller salesmen, if you're you know, you tend to fare better, especially in customer service environments. You know, if you go to the car dealership and you have a problem, and this is no strike against people who are short or whatever, but you know, there's been studies done on this. If someone comes out and they're like of a shorter stature, a person feels like, oh God, But if someone comes out and they're 6'2", 6'3", 6'4", you feel like, all right, yeah, we getting something fixed now. You know, these things have a psychological effect on people. This person could be a total moron. You know, and a lot of times you'll go back and they're like, well, this is the manager. My manager's coming over. You'll go in their office. What's the first thing you see? Football trophy, football ring, you know, something that, oh, wow, you used to play. Yeah, you know, I played. Oh, okay. I know I'm getting some action now. You know, I know this is going to get fixed. These are all psychological things that are done. There were studies done where people were they were finding that certain salesmen in their offices, they will put images of young men in military gear and imply that it was their son, but it wasn't. It's just like random pictures of guys with army uniforms. So people will come in and be like, you know, it makes you seem more honest. I got my son, you know, he served. You know, but these are the psychological games that are played. But you know, you got to sometimes even learn how do you confer authority? What make you say yes, sir, and oh, okay? You know, whether it be a badge or whether it be a white lab coat, or it could be the way someone communicates. You see, there was a time Now could talk all that stuff he want. There was a time someone who looked like Now, there's no way you would take him seriously as it pertained to business because he ain't had that hair cut off.
Yep.
If he's really doing business, he'd have a short crop cut and no facial hair. That was the look. You know, there was no room for anything else. You know, but that's how you would be able to confer authority, which was so sad because brothers was doing that back in the days and still not getting the authority. It still wasn't working. You know, until eventually you had a lot of, like, I think it was really Master P who flipped the image of what it was articles that were coming out when he first came out, the new look of the millionaire, of the young millionaire, you know, and a lot of it was centered around that time around Master P, believe it or not. And then that, you know, transcribed into other areas. Now you got cops, you got locks and everything. It's you know, it's a new world.
So I got a question for you brothers. Do you think a beginner, whether it's in computer, stocks, real estate, whatever, do you think at the beginning stages, when you enter the room with people who been in that environment for years, that you do gotta sort of fake it till you make it, but in the back of your head, you know, that's only gonna take me so far, and you make a distinction. I'm only faking the confidence because really, I'm nervous in this environment, but them seeing me confident will determine their decision about me. Is it something like that?
Can't fake this.
Nope.
Yeah. Only that confidence fake, that's some pickup artists.
Okay.
How do you get girl? Bro, you gotta be confident, bro. You just gotta, you know, first you gotta insult her, but after you insult her, then you turn your back on her, and then you just gotta, you know, you gotta just be really confident. You gotta know you're the man, bro. Like, come on, man. That doesn't work in the real world. Confidence is a result of a formula. You can't fake that. Either you know or you don't know. If I say, hey, right now, you and I, we're gonna build an X-Wing fighter and we're gonna go fight the dark forces of you know what I'm saying, the universe. Like X-Wing fight, you mean from Star Wars? I don't know how to do that. I'm not confident. But if you like, yo, we're gonna get a lawnmower and build a go-kart, you know, get some couple pieces of wood, put it on. Oh yeah, I can do that. I know how to do that. I know how to build a lawnmower. Put a lawnmower and put it on track, pulley it, you a go-kart. It's probably gonna blow up behind you, but I know how to do that. You know what I'm saying? I'm confident in that. If you tell me, hey, we're gonna set up a computer network and we're gonna have this building speak to this, oh yeah, been doing that for years. I could do that. You know, so your confidence comes from actually having formulas before you begin something. If you don't have a formula, no, you're not gonna be confident. And if you fake that, you're just lying. So it's just like when someone says, "Oh, you want to talk to a girl, you got to be confident." You're only confident if you have a formula. What's your formula? Well, I'm going to go up to her and say this. If she says that, I'm going to say this. If she says this, I'm going to say that. I got my tools together. I'm confident now. You know.
Why is it so hard for people just to say I don't know? Like like people feel like they need to talk their way into an answer, or I need to have an answer, as opposed to just saying I don't know, and just letting it be that.
Because it's a void. To not know means I go into the void. If I go, people don't realize that nothing is something. You know,
Yep.
women know it. Women give you the silent treatment. She know, like I'm tearing them up. Like I'm breaking them apart. Women know nothing is something. You know, or heck, go on a date and just shut your mouth. Watch what's gonna happen. A woman will say, "You're so mysterious. I don't know. It's just something about you. You're just not talking." You know what I mean? So people don't realize the value of nothing. So if I say I don't know, I negate myself. I go into the void. We have two choices. I can go into the void or I can go into infinity. Infinity is light. I know. Infinity. I don't know. Void. People don't value the void, but they don't realize it takes the void and infinity for creation to exist. There's knowing and not knowing. And there's nothing wrong with being in either place. At any time, we're in either place. Because I just gave you an answer, right? But that's not the truth. How the heck am I going to give an answer for the whole of humanity? I don't freaking know. But what I just said, man, like y'all was nodding your head, y'all was getting with it. Come on now, you was getting with it. But the thing is, like that can't be true for everybody. Come on. I might get pulled over by a cop and he asks me a question. I don't want to say I don't know, because then he gonna tell me what it is. I gotta keep talking. So the answer may change depending on the circumstance. So we really don't know why people do what they do. That's what makes this journey of life so interesting. We don't know.
Then how does if one doesn't know, then how does one? Because a lot of people, in order for them to bring some sort of balance, they're like, I know this for certain. This is concrete, and if this is concrete, I can build on this foundation. How does one build on a foundation if they're building on something that is uncertain?
Every foundation is uncertain.
Okay, I'm gonna take it back to the Matrix.
It's a game. Yo, in the Matrix, right? Red pill, blue pill. Red pill means you leave the Matrix, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the architect said we destroyed Zion before, and then we built another one. Meaning, the Matrix, you still in the Matrix. It's all a hologram. Nothing you build is real. Okay, like. So what we say is what we do for Christ will last. And then people say, yeah, I praise Jesus. No, you didn't say that. Christ. What is the Christ? Am I supposed to become the Christ? Yes. So how do I get something to exist forever? Through my Christ consciousness and my soul. Everything else is a hologram. Now, here's the other part of that. How do you know that's true? I kind of don't. But it feels right. It's the smartest thing I've heard all year. So I'm going to go with it. Now, next year I might hear something smarter. But that's the smartest thing I've heard. And I've been teaching that for 30 years. And it's been solid. But at any day, something can come flying out the sky. And it could be like Prometheus. It can come flying out the sky and change the whole dynamic of everything we've been talking about this whole time. What we found out all this time, we was robots.
Hey, well, the way I be moving.
Every time the heat come on, I don't know where to put my foot down. So it's like, yeah, man, like you might find, you was actually a robot. So then what about the God thing? Oh, those are just things we implanted in your culture. That's what the movie Doom was about. We'll give you a savior.
Yep.
Battlestar Galactica with the Cylons. That was deep. If you know who the Cylons are really, the Cylons are really angels.
Yep.
Those are really angels. And Cylon, it's spelled with a K. That was a Greek archetype, Cylon. You gotta know who that is. But if in the original Battlestar Galactica back in the days, the Cylons they came from an ancient reptilian race. You see, yeah, El Corano. And then in the newer one, they say, oh, they were machines. We made the machines, and they turned on it. The Cylons are angels, and the angels are going to war with man. It ain't no different than Transformers. Transformers are angels. That's what the stories of the Transformers are. Optimus Prime, those are angels. I could go on and on and on with yeah, man. And Megatron is really the hero. He's trying to save his home planet. And Optimus Prime is like, no, let's infuse ourselves with humans. Well, that's how you make Nephilim. That's wicked. Well, Megatron is like, let's stay pure and let's save our own home, which is heaven.
Balthazar is the one human that goes with the Cylons, and the Cylons is always like, by your command.
Right.
Meanwhile, Adama and Colonel Ty and Boomer and all of them, they just looking for, basically Earth, Cobalt.
Right. See, so I mean, you might find out some craziness, man. But here's the thing. Who cares? Your job is to master the mind. Through the exploration, like you be going to the gym, Zach, you and Kelvonta, y'all be posting videos of you in the gym, now and stuff, y'all be in the gym. Raheem did about 7 push-ups. So the thing about, you know what I mean? What y'all doing that for? You know you're gonna get old one day and your body gonna fall apart.
Uh-huh.
So why even do any of that?
Well, when that day come, that day come.
But why do that in between?
Why work out in between?
Yeah.
Because I think at some point I can delay that. If I take care of my body, then it's not gonna fall apart.
Okay. So that's why we learn all this stuff, even though we may not know it. We working out the mind so that we can maximize our experience here on earth. You make the mind as gargantuan as you possibly can, and you also delay the demise of your consciousness. Like, what if you found out by studying all of this stuff, when you die, you can stay alive for like 60 days. But if you don't study in this stuff, you just die, and it's a wrap. But what if you knew, like, for 60 days, I die, I take on a new form, and I'm basically like a damn superhero for 60 days on the planet because I studied all of it. I could fly, I could travel between dimensions and whatnot. But if I don't do that, I just die, and that's the end of it. You'd be like, yeah, I study. I want that experience. That's crazy. I want that.
I don't know. I'd be one pissed off Bronco though if I did all of that and then I still had to just die and that was it.
You ain't no aristocrat. See, they made heaven for aristocrats. They made heaven, the concept of heaven that we know it as, they made that for rich people back in the days because rich people had all this money and they was like, this is not fair. We're going to die. And when we die, we're not going to be over the peasants anymore. So the Catholic Church developed this idea like, oh, no. There's this thing called the soul. Yeah. And if you have a soul, you'll live forever. Okay? All you do is give your alms to the church. Oh, so you mean like if I give my money to the church now, I'll go into the celestial kingdom and I'll still be a slumlord and be all over these other people, right? Yeah. Okay, cool.
Or buying indulgences.
Because you afraid to die because you know you ain't got no soul, sucker. You die, that's it. But we never taught that. We got ancestors and we got ancestors. They be floating around here messing stuff up, breaking things and stuff. We know about all that. We didn't need nobody to say, you got a soul, right? Of course I got a soul. Shut up. We knew that. So yeah.
Price.
Now, what is that life like after? Man, nobody know, man. But we know the pattern of dynamics in physics. We know that. So the more you maintain and hold on to your consciousness, we go through. There's people who are listening to this segment now, and listen to this 3 hours that we about to get off, and they are renewed. They're like, yo, man, this brother spit some things I never heard of in my life. That means you died and you're back now. You're somebody else with a renewed consciousness. That's the goal. So we see that happen all the time. And when children come with that, we're amazed. Oh, that's an old soul. That only means that's somebody who maintained their consciousness. That's it. That's what that means. Or like when somebody's in shape and they get old and we're like, they can still do things. Oh, so they maintain some of their physicality from their 20s, even though we're looking at them like, but that's not the same person. That person is done. This is a new person, but they still got some of that physicality. Well, same thing with the mentality. There's nothing more frightening than listening to somebody who's 75, 80 years old and they're sharp. It would be around somebody like that. It's like it makes you stall for a minute because it feels so ancient. When they be breaking, you be like this is otherworldly. You see? So these are exercises and obstacle courses for the mind. And once you learn to master the mind, then you free the spirit. Once you free the spirit, that's how you maintain consciousness throughout lifetimes. I think. I don't know. Maybe not. I don't know. Might not. We might just go into the ground. But hey, while we here, we gonna party. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, hey, you might as well get your money while you're here playing. But no, I'm just saying, while we're here, why would you not want to be immense? You could be small or you could be immense. Some of us want to be immense, and when there's a deeper science to it, that like you thinking about the after. Some people leave before they leave. Where do they go? There's other dimensions. We already know there's other dimensions. We still got stuff flying in and out of the air all the time, all these unidentified clouds. They're coming from other dimensions. So we got that part. How do I get there? You mean to tell me I gotta be 95 years old, 100 years old, and then die? That don't make sense. Not when there's stories of people getting caught up before they got old. What were they doing? So sometimes you can leave before you leave.
There'll be them children in the forest that be found face down.
Or like Enoch.
Mm-hmm. Like Enoch, right. I would say the best thing to do is to try to figure out how to leave before you leave. Some people show up before they show up.
Yeah.
Like you ever have an old person die in your family, and then like a baby was born like the same week or the same month? You're like, what the heck is this? Left and came back that quick, huh? You knew what you was doing. That's power.
That's how my daughter was.
Somebody
Like,
transitioned and came right through.
yep, my wife's grandmother transitioned couple of months before she was before she was born, and she come out acting just like her.
Some people leave before they leave. Some people come back before they leave.
You know, I seen that on Teresa Caputo, Long Island Media.
Okay. I know about the face down in the forest thing, but yeah, man. The thing is, you want to be a lion or not. That's all. Because if you a lion, you want to get. How else you gonna get recruited? We see these stories of Enoch. These cats was recruited.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like you want to get, you want to stand out. You want to be a man among mice. And then cats seeing like, yo, let me put you on. See, the Kemites had it. They had it. They lost it. They blew it. They had it. I mean, you got freaking landing pads all over your society. You building landing, like you letting them know, like, yo, come through. We got a spot for you. Come through. You see what I'm saying? So, how much are you preparing for the arrival of Elohim in your life?
Even though I remember even going to, this is the last thing I'm gonna say because I know we want to get out of here. Like even going to the Valley of the Kings, though, they were still burying themselves with all this, like the same, almost the same mindset, like you were saying before. I still want to have some sort of power over these group of people. Like I'm gonna bury myself with all of this stuff because I'm gonna take it with me to the next spot, as opposed to and that almost like if I give somebody a heaven or if I give somebody something, then it will get them to buy into certain lifestyles and living while you're here, at least to get you to act right. No?
Well, let's look at it like this. That wasn't necessarily the case. That's how, so you got to understand this. When you're talking about Kemet, there's different people to talk about. You have people who are Egyptologists, you have people who are Kemetologists, and then you have people who study and teach Nile Valley civilization. These are three totally different things. So some of the perspectives that you get, it's not accurate. It ain't it. Gold conducts electricity. I'm gonna give it to you real simple. Gold conducts electricity. If I want to transport myself from one place to another after I transition, I need as much gold around me as possible to get the heck up out of here. Simple.
Yeah, they didn't say that on the tour.
They don't say that, right? They left that out. They left that. Yeah, they were buried with all their riches and all their riches. Really, all of them? Come on, man. These dudes ate gold. Why were you eating gold? Diatonic gold. You could eat it. They were constantly doing things to make their bodies more conducive to electricity. They didn't carry around the ox. This is an electromagnetic field. You constantly doing all this stuff to electrify your body. Why? Because you want to transmit out.
So you said
people don't know why they put iron gates around funerals, around cemeteries. Yeah.
I'm trying to know though.
Yeah, all you gotta do is look it up because I taught on that already. So or the podcast on. All right, we'll go with your decimals. Dewey Decimals need to look up in your phone. What I taught it. Okay. I taught that already. I broke that down. Why they put iron gates around cemeteries. I broke that down. That's an old show too. That's real. That's probably that's at least 13 years old, 13, 14 years old when I taught that. I remember that one. Yeah. Because why you need all that security for a cemetery? It's a cemetery. Who want to go up in there? Or who trying to get out of there? All right, man. This has been beautiful, man. I've learned a lot from you brothers, and I'm going to thank you for all that you've done for me. and go to the chat real quick. They were laughing and stuff in the chat, so I don't know. You know, they always chit chat. Streets of Gold, middle Streets of Gold. Brother Robert says, a Rod 9 says, a drill sergeant that I had would always say, if you don't know what you're doing, just pretend you do. Yeah, man, that's what leaders always say. If you don't know which way to go, just pretend like you know which way you're going. I don't do that though, but I do, you know, because I don't never want to be accountable for. You said this, man. I was joking. I saw something from Mojave here and I lost it. Okay, Mojave says, it makes me think of that movie, Catch Me If You Can, which is based on a true story. Yeah, that was the guy, I think he was abducting and kidnapping little girls or something like that. I'm so bad with movie stuff.
Chief, it had Tom Hanks and Leonardo DiCaprio, and it was about this guy that was always conning. You know, he would just like he acted like he was a pilot at one point. Then he was something the next time. Then he was something the next time, and they were just trying to catch on to him because he was just conning. You know what I'm talking about?
Okay. So he was faking it till he was making it, pretty much.
Okay, I know what you're talking about. I didn't see the movie, but I saw the commercial. Okay, I gotta check that out. Yeah. So I mean, I'm in there somehow. I saw the commercial, but but yeah, man. All right, so this was good, brothers. I thank everyone for jumping on, man. This was fun. Yeah, I can't wait for Brother Chris for you to bring that list. That's gonna be dope, man. When you bring that and really give brothers a good starting point. I'm really looking forward to that. I think that'll be nice to see how you throw that in. And I definitely know that any term that Brother Nile used that y'all don't understand, I definitely can't wait to hear you break it down next on Raheem. I mean, not just anyone specifically. You know, and I know it ain't just gonna be like, now, are you busy right now?
Yeah.
Going over the video, yeah, and I have a few questions to ask you based on the video. Yeah, I know it's not just gonna be that. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna look them up. You know what I'm saying? That's just anybody, not just Raheem. But yeah, you gotta know when somebody says something, make sure you know what they're talking about. Because Now mentioned 3 terms when he was speaking that are the basis of online passive selling. And if you don't know those 3 things that he said, I'm not going to say them, then your stuff is just going to be sitting somewhere and no one's going to like come to your site, or it's going to be too many clicks for them to part with their money, to receive your digital product. Yeah. So like for a lot of you brothers, like, man, what could I do passively or something? You should learn the 3 terms he said. It will help you. All right. So everyone, we will be back, or I will be back. These guys, they'll just be laid out, but I'll be working. You know what I mean? They ain't really doing that, and they just get back listening. You know what I'm saying? But I will be back at noon Eastern, and we're gonna now get into the talks on polygyny, or what some would call polygamy, but the polygamous aspect. And we've been doing our family series, of course, and I was kind of building up to the talks on polygyny. So willfully, you feel ready for it. And I don't think anything I'm gonna say is gonna be triggering, to be honest with you. I think it'll be enlightening. I don't think it'll be triggering at all. But yeah, so what's that? 7? I mean, I can't see none of that. Something about, I don't know, something about big love. So yeah, man, I can't see nothing that's on that screen. So yeah, man. So I look forward to building with everyone tomorrow, man, and driving this thing forward. And it's just good for everyone to come through. And for Howdy Infinity in the chat, you said you just started digging into Island New Way. Keep on. I'm glad about that. Science is Temple. I see you asked how to reach out to me. Someone gave you some information. Derek, what's up, man? I was just saying today, like, where's Brother Derek? Being accountable.
I'm here. I've been grinding, Chief. I've been on Coursera with Google data analytics course. I finished that one. Then I started on the business intelligence course. I finished that one, and now I'm taking a course dealing with Tableau. right
Oh,
now.
Yeah, you need that. Tableau is for visual, for when you're delivering data in a visual form. Very
Yep.
important, man. Very important. You
Yeah, it's
doing
fun. I like it.
Python work?
In the coursework, the only programming language I learned so far is SQL and R, and I barely touched on Python.
The Python. Okay. Yeah, R and Python is almost like apples and oranges. Well, I mean, probably more similar than that. But they both are dealing with, that presentation. But Tableau is like becoming more and more popular for being able to
Yep.
convert data into visual presentation. And you can do stuff with SQL too. I mean, you can do graphs and stuff with SQL. But that's great, man. I'm glad to see you cutting through. I couldn't, because you so dark back there. I actually thought it was Chris and his lights just went out.
No, I'm
Yeah.
I'm outside in the yard right now.
Got you. All right, cool. Best place to be, man. All right, yeah, cool. So, brother Derek was here. I was just saying it today, like, where's he at? And somebody was like, oh, he be in the chat. So, all right, cool. So, yeah, man. I'm just looking through the chat. So everyone came through. Pete, B the Expressionist, and Howdy, and Derek, of course, and all you cats came on live and all that. Remember what I said about men being strong and men building. No more sitting back listening. It's annoying. Right? That's just say it back in. Men got to throw something in the ring. Like you see how Calvante came in real quick, boom, 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 gave us some jewels. Now gave some jewels. El Corral always does. Lately he been sleepy though. I notice every time he get on, but he wake up a little.
I'm not sleepy. That's just how my eyes look. I'm not even saying that since I was like 12. I'm like, that's just how my eyes look. Even I'll be like, okay, maybe let me do this so people know I ain't sleep.
I've known you for years now. I know when you sleeping, I know the difference. Because first of all, when you up, you wear all them Brazilian soccer jerseys. If he ain't got Brazilian soccer jerseys, he's a bad move.
Now I gotta wear Brazilian soccer jerseys.
I know you, man. I know you. But yeah, man. But I just want to thank everyone for coming, and definitely all the sisters. You sisters can jump in. I know how y'all feel. It's like it's all about. And Michael, my eyes are not giving life tonight, so I'm gonna say Michael Como. I can't read the full thing. It's a Mazimi. I don't want to say it wrong. Winervo Bay. I would love if you called in one day, Michael, and pronounced your name. People who know me know I'm a bit of a name fanatic, so I like to learn new names. But anyway, we're gonna head out. But yeah, man, Abba Haru, I see you, brother. Thank you for coming through. And Yafe was holding it down. About Tut Ankh Amin got over gold. That's an old Gonna Get You Sucker reference, which they probably never saw Yafe because the movie came out like 1987. So anyway, but yeah, man. Definitely I'll catch you all tomorrow, man. And this was beautiful. All right, everyone. Be well. Peace.
Shabbat shalom.
Peace.